Tavern separates himself from the region by being more smart, methodical. He knows when to, take high, take low ground or whatever, so he's a good IGL.
My name's Liam. I go by the name Turtle Tavern, and I'm from Northern California. I play Fortnite since the beginning of time, since the moment it came out, and I just loved the game, honestly. Definitely always been a competitive sportsman. I played a bunch of sports growing up. I played lacrosse for 6 years, basketball for 4 years, a couple years of baseball. I've always just been a competitive person. This game is one of the most tough sports. You need to give it everything you have. You have to put hours and hours and hours every day in practice so you don't fall behind. I met a bunch of friends early stages in Fortnite, and we all slowly got into competitive together. We played scrims together, and we slowly just kept going up and up and up, and here we are. The first time I won money was in the World Cup warm-up, and I remember I got 10th place in it, and I remember showing my parents, and the look on their face when they realized that I just won $800 was priceless. It was a crazy moment because at that point I could show them that this was an actual thing. Definitely one of my most proud moments. I'm definitely one that uses my brain a lot. I definitely do a lot of research with everything when it comes to in-game, outside of game. I love to be prepared. I love studying gameplay, everything that I need to use to improve myself. Yeah. I want to say my most recent performances look a lot worse than they are. Just I've been surprised on many of the most recent grands, and I definitely feel like I've improved so much as a player, but recently I have not been able to show that. How I'm preparing for this major is me and my duo are going to be working very hard. We're playing every scrim, creatives every day, and we're just going to be working our butt off. Unlike most people who get enraged at the moment, I think I'm quite the opposite. I don't think I have ever really raged at the game. I think if I do something bad, a mistake, I learn from it. No one can be perfect. I definitely think what I stand most apart from my region is the ability to strategize and the amount of time and effort I put into this game. I've put my heart and soul into this game over the past 5 years. I mean, it's never enough. You never can put enough work into this game. It's just gonna keep getting harder and harder. One of the things I want to be remembered most by is just being one of the greatest players. And I know I have a lot to work on and a lot to improve on for that to happen, but I'm coming for it.
It's now or never for NA as we get in the Surge Week of Major 2. 5 games where either a victory royale or top 5 placement at the end of the day will send a total of 10 teams to grand finals. The big question is, who will make it? The 1 week wonders Scented and Favs made their dreams come true last week by keeping the FNCS dream alive. With an astonishing performance, they've made it to Surge Week. However, this is where it gets serious. Individually, they have what it takes, but do they as a newly formed duo? Tavern and Nosh will also be fighting tonight in this stacked lobby. However, they are going to have a hard time as there are plenty of other teams who want a piece of the pie. These guys just barely slid into Surge Week as the 90th place team on the leaderboard. Now they have to prove they are worthy of a grand finals. The plot thickens as we will be keeping a close eye on former NA West champions Thork and Bolts. This duo has to prove themselves worthy of the new NA region. Will they secure a spot in grand finals in order to give themselves a chance to defend their title? People are holding their breaths as tonight is the final stage before grand finals. Winners literally take it all, while the others have to end up in top 5. Brace for chaos as we head into Surge Week. This is the NA FNCS.
This is Surge Week. One last opportunity to make it to the FNCS Grand Finals. These are your analysts, the Kelly, Link, and Vivid. Guys, welcome to Surge Week. Are you as excited as I am to be here right now?
I mean, after watching the games from yesterday during Europe Surge Week, I am absolutely excited to get things started today.
Oh my gosh, this is what a lot of Fortnite fans, they just wait for these games that are going to happen today. Can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Absolutely. Well, what is Surge Week? Well, Fortnite fam, this is Surge Week. Welcome. We'll be playing 5 games today. Now, the duels that come in that top 5 will advance to grand finals, but here's the catch. Victory Royales will also auto-qualify a duel straight to grand finals. There is a ton here to play for. And the fact that we get these Victory Royales that auto-qualifies and moves us up those standings, you can see a duo maybe in that 5th place spot, get a Victory Royale, and then suddenly the entire leaderboard goes up. So we really won't know how this all unfolds until that last game, Kelly.
I mean, it's not just the leaderboard that's going to be shaking things up. When one of those players does grab a VR, that means that their POI is also going to be available for the rest of the lobby.
Not only that, like whatever strategies they are implementing to actually do well in these games, it kind of opens up that for other players as well. Maybe one team's, focusing on the higher ground. They get that VR, they're no longer taking it.
There's a ton of adapting that we're going to see happen here today. And all in 5 games, I don't even know. It's going to be absolutely wild. Why don't we start things off, though? There's a duo we want to highlight for you guys at home, Scented and Favs. A duo that could absolutely make waves if they were to qualify to grand finals.
I mean, you heard Vivid say it before. This is the one-shot wonders. They only had 1 week to get enough points to be able to make it into Surge Week, and that was a 10th place finish, and that's exactly what they did in week 3. I mean, we got to see Favs with an incredible 1v2 clutch that pretty much solidified their spot, but I want to talk a little bit about the history of these 2 players. Favs coming from the NA West region, a 3-time champion, but not just that. Out of the 13 FNCS Grand Finals that he's been in, 12 of them he's been top 10. And then, of course, you have Scented, who is the epitome of always the bridesmaid, but never the bride, getting 2nd place 5 times, many of those in a row. But again, these 2 players together seem to be an incredible duo.
Yeah, a lot of history amongst this duo. Of course, let's focus in on today. They are going to be landing on the north side of Mega City, and you've been paying any attention to how NA games have been going. This is usually the team that is actually able to secure that vault most of the time. So this team should have the loadout required to make sure they make it into grand finals. But that's where the storyline develops, right? If they do make it in the grand finals, Scented has a big favorite towards this racetrack split, but Kanata and Aders are already poised up there looking to contest them if they make it. So big storylines there. And of course, since they are landing North Mega City today and no other team is, that kind of leaves the door wide open for Epic Whale and Reet to be uncontested when it comes to grand finals. So a lot to unfold today as we see who makes these last 10 teams fill out those spots.
And of course, when you're looking at the north side of Mega City, you're looking for that vault right there. But that's not the only vault we see in the map. No, we also got one in Brutal Bastion and one in Shattered Slabs. And these vaults are such a pivotal part of success, not just for the mid game, but the late game as well, because of what they offer to all of the players. Of course, you know that they're going to have some incredible weapons in the vault, but also you have that much needed slurp juice, which just gives you such incredible heals, which we see time and time again needed. But also something that players look over is the gold that provided inside of these vaults. The gold that is going to be needed if you want to reset your augments, which some of the new and old augments that have been added back to the game are going to be very important to be able to cycle through and pick those up.
Yeah, 100%. And focusing in on today, that early game, what these vaults are going to be looking like. Well, Brutal Bastion has a total of 4 teams that are expected to land over there. So expect a lot of the early game action to happen over there. But then also maybe a few fights going on over at Shattered Slabs as well. 3 teams landing over there. But when it comes to that grand finals drop map, both of those splits at each one of those POIs is currently uncontested. So if we have some teams qualify out of those POIs today, might be hot stuff going on towards grand finals when it comes to those vaults.
But you do need to be careful because the vaults are very loud and it's kind of like a signal to everyone else around them that, hey, this is being opened up and there's only one entrance, meaning that there's only one exit and everyone knows where to look to get some fresh tags and to maybe steal all of the items that they just picked up.
There is going to be a lot of contention over these vaults. My, oh my, it's going to be a mad dash because remember, there's only a handful of spots left to go to grand finals. Now, we have an amazing opportunity here to talk to one of the players who will be competing right here today. It is none other than Sparebo, who will be standing by with us. Sparebo, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. You look chill right now. You're
relaxed.
Just vibing. You're relaxed. I got to ask you, man, like, so some duos, they like to be put in this position, right? They want to go to Surge Week. They're like, Victory Royale, no problem. Where are you guys at? Are you guys feeling that pressure? You guys like, nah, Victory Royale, yo, we got this.
You know, there's consistency also, so like I'm not worried. Like we can win a game. Like I know I can. It's heal off. It's a little bit more luck than usual, but I know I could win a game if I have to. But even if I get a second place, I'm still fine. That's a good point game. I can call off consistency too. So I'm not worried about both consistency and winning. I know I can do both.
Yeah, and I know you and Felix, of course, are no strangers to putting in the prep work that is required for these FNCS-style games. Kind of walk us through if there is any additional prep work that you put in when it comes to these Surge Week games. Sorry.
I mean, you know, compared to Grands, like there's really no like good format for, like, it's not like Surge Week where you have to win a game. There's more prep here, like having the win condition that we need, carrying more whites in these lobbies compared to grand finals lobbies. We're having our win breaker, like going for low ground, sending height. So really this week we just really try to prep for those like game breaking things that we need. Like we prepared our height takes, what to do. We prepared our heal off of how do we win these heal offs. We also prep with our coach. So all of those things we just used to prep for this week, since it's a different format compared to grand finals for a normal FNCS week.
Well, you're talking a lot about the items that you need for success in the end game, but what's another factor that maybe a lot of players don't think about to be able to make it into the end game and grab that VR?
I mean, I feel like most players nowadays know about Surge, but I feel like that's like the most important factor out of everything. Like loot is important, but if you don't have Surge, like your loot does not matter. So it's really just that Surge aspect of the game as well. It's like really the most important aspect out of everything.
Dude, I love the insight. For all the fans out there, where can they find you? Because I know they want this insight too.
If you want to find me, it's just Sparebo on everything. You can see it in my room, on my light, on my shirt. It's just Sparebo on every social media platform, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter.
Absolutely. Well, Sparebo, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, brother. Best of luck in today's games. Sparebo, absolutely exciting. And again, that insight, so valuable, right? And I love that he's just feeling calm. He's like, hey, I can win consistently. I get a victory out, no problem. But why don't we talk about something that we saw actually impact a lot of games? Rift Island. Not only does this thing give you that height advantage, but you can also get the overclock pulse rifles as well, Kelly.
Yeah, we're talking about key factors to success, and this is definitely one of them. If you look at any of the end games from the EU Surge Week, as well as Week 3, almost every single team that made it into the top 5 had this pulse rifle on hand. But as you can see, it's not just the pulse rifle. Of course, you also have one of the vaults there that you need 2 keys to be able to open up. You have the incredible height to be able to get visibility of everyone around you, as well as the mobility that's not just on the island itself, but around it. But Vivid, it's all about those pulse rifles.
Yeah, and Kelly mentioned it, right? A couple of augments coming in, that first assault, amplifying that first shot from assault rifles. So that thing is going to do even more damage, especially when it comes to some of those storm surge tags. But the pulse rifle is not only good at storm surge, it's also good at taking high ground and maintaining high ground. We're going to take a look at Aviv and Skittles and kind of how they like to utilize them to take high ground. First of all, it's just all about doing big damage, taking Booga right there all the way down to around about 50 HP and putting him in a position to where he cannot even help to fight against the high ground take that is coming. But then it's not even just about the take that Aviv and Skittles are able to perform here. It's just about maintaining the high ground, dealing so much damage to builds, players, to make it so that way none of them have a chance to actually take it from them or shoot them out.
And these pulse rifles are absolutely insane. They do 237 damage per second, which is matching some of the twin mag SMGs, but then of course you have the long range beams that they provide as well. Yeah. I mean, by the time I finished this sentence, with a pulse rifle, I could have done 2,000 damage.
Mad DPS, I like it, I like it. So do we feel like the risk is worth the reward?
I mean, it'll be tough, right? You got to work on your box fighting when it comes to actually contesting Rift Island, because that's usually what we see a lot of teams do. They'll box up on that capture point. Of course, it does spawn during fourth zone, so you have to make sure you have enough materials and heals to kind of go for that island and contest, go for that box fight, whatever team is over there. But if you can get it, you should be looking up towards height.
I mean, there was a moment in one of the EU Search games, I believe it was game number 2 or 3, where there was 5 separate teams on Rift Island. So there is definitely some risk going on there. But I definitely think the reward, if you're able to claim the pulse rifle, is worth it.
I love to see it. So many things to be taking account of today here in Surge Week. It is going to be absolutely insane, but it is not just us that will be calling all the action. We have 2 casters. We have to introduce you. It's Monster D-Face and Jacob PR.
You guys see this? The king is back.
Hold up. We get to call finals. Lucky me getting all the action here this week.
Oh, wait. You dropped this, King.
Oh,
there you go, dude. That's good to see, man.
Thanks.
Good to see you. Welcome back, Jacob PR, and of course, Monster D-Face guys, welcome. How are you guys feeling coming into Surge Week? Where are the hype levels at?
I mean, the truth is, we know that the games are going to be good, but most importantly, we get to start really prepping up for these finals. Big money is going to be on the line. And this week, for some, they're entering in for the first time, so pressure's on.
Yeah, to me, I just got that feeling of deja vu. Getting to cast the Monster yet again, but that story of Sented and Favs, particularly Favs, when he won 2 of his 3 FNCS championships, he qualified through Surge Week. So this is just another day on the clock for him.
Can I just say how excited I am to be here with all of my sons? It's like a big family reunion.
I thought I was the dad here. What happened?
Okay. Well, guys, I want to bring you guys into this conversation a little bit because there's so many things to kind of be thinking about. Rift Island, Vaults. Like, how do you guys feel like the Vaults are going to impact the games we're going to see today?
I mean, listen, the truth is the Volts have done a lot to the game. More now than ever, we've seen contested teams start to win. So the Volt is clearly one of the most powerful things to utilize.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's 3 of them across the map. Those Mythic Havoc, 1 pump availability for a lot of these teams. Yeah. We've already seen it throughout the first 3 weeks, kind of bail out a lot of these players that are in some rough positions. The turn, the burns, the one-shots. That's what I'm expecting to see from a lot of these players.
Yeah, I mean, we got big names competing today. Wavy, Jacob, you got Thork and Bolt. Of course, we've mentioned it multiple times, Sented and Favs, Paper. The list goes on and on, but there's only 10 spots available for duos and grand finals. Have to see how it all pans out.
I feel like for me as well, that conversation kind of coming to the end of Major 2, I'm almost starting to find myself thinking more about global championships, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And the question I feel like we've had that I asked Levin recently was, how does NA stack up against EU? Do you guys feel like we're there, or is there still work to be done?
I mean, we've only gotten stronger, right? The merging of the entire region. Now we get to see, of course, this new NA Central. For the first time, we're going to be crowning someone the king of NA. Right, so it's gonna get a little bit more contentious over here.
Yeah, when it comes to pure fighting, NA has it over EU, miles above over EU in my opinion. But the overall strategy, I think EU kind of has a little bit of an edge on NA.
What do you think, Viv?
You know, I competed on NA, so I'm always gonna give it to NA, but that's biased, I'll be honest.
Okay, Kelly, I gotta know. Do we stack up?
NA.
That did not sound confident.
She's like, you know what? It's fine. We done it. But that's all good. Listen, we know you want games. We do too. Remember, 5 games happening right here, right now for Surge Week. Remember, consistency coming in that top 5 or a victory royale is what we are looking for. If you're ready, we are too. Let's run it. This is Surge Week.
Well, there we have it. We start to gear up here. 5 big games are going to be in front of us. And of course, you can win, go all the way through, but most importantly, play consistent.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day for some of these players, even though it is one less game because the pressure to perform game after game, moment after moment. But it's great to see that even though some of these players, particularly Sparrow, if you don't win, they have that top 5 consistency in their mind. But the battle bus is ready. Game number 1 of Surge Week starts right now, and I'm already at the edge of my seat.
That's right, 5 big games, and we get to start off nice and easy here. Pressure's on, as we know in good NA fashion. It's going to be slow and steady, but most recently, this is a contested dropper here. Punisher, Costa, he's got a little bit of attention in the hills nearby.
Yeah, I thought this was going to kind of go convincingly over to Yasir and Zyro over on the other side, but a triple contestation out of Kenjutsu, where there's a lot of VR winners on the season so far. But we talked about Mega City as well. 4 teams in such close proximity, but at the same time, Mega City is so massive of a POI, you could loot around before you find anybody.
Well, listen, talking about exchanges happening, the feed is already lighting up your sear, which means over down where Punisher was, the exchange is happening there. Here at the Mega City, it's Action City. But let's jump on into it. Diz Boy has to step up right now. What is Diz going to be able to do? He's going to pull his teammate back, trying to play for the res up here. And look, it looks like Punisher and crew might just be sliding on over.
Yeah, they see that from the top of Kenjutsu crossing. And you can see Zyro's probably trying to use that as a blessing. As soon as Punisher and Costa hopefully come in, that could be his way to try to get that reboot card on up. But he's just trying to clear the distance between him and everybody else. Try to loot up as much as possible because they know his hands are going to be full no matter what decision he makes here. And that's where Punisher and Costa, they have a little bit of a different outlook on this fight. They got looted up, they got the mobility, so it's theirs for the taking.
Well, every ounce counts here. Diz Boy steps up to the plate, finds the finish there. It's gonna be a big point swing for him to go ahead with the pickup as well. So they're very much right back into the game, probably with a small material advantage, but the shots coming in are gonna start to chomp away at that. Punisher, Costa, I mean, listen, they have the high ground, right? They're vibing out right now, but they give it up to go ahead and push this duo.
You can see Almedi, the switch up of the kinetic blades, just trying to get that one extra charge. Punisher from the side, just trying to put that pressure on from another angle. Meanwhile, Costa, you can see him crouching, trying to hide any bit of audio, any bit of direction in which he's coming from. But a fight this close, box to box, this is where you can see Noodle towards the bottom, has it in his hands. Punisher with the trade and shots, but it's only a 1-for-1.
Well, Punisher has years and years of course, I was going to say experience before I can even finish the sentence. Costa's there to match it and back it, and now they get the full pickup there. Remember, these eliminations here are worth so much. That's going to be a ton of points to go and kick it off. Contested drop, man, that's the pressure on the shoulders there, but wait for them to put up. For Mayu here in Crackley, listen, Crackley's been around the block, right? Competing in all types of zero build competitions, slides into, of course, the FNCS this weekend, finds himself in Surge Week. Wait for him to continue to step up here. Love the loadout. This is probably the most, air quotes, meta as it can get, right?
Yeah, I'm over here just looking at his name, though. Is that a prediction? He said, hey, we might play for consistency through the first 3. Game 4 is where we're going to seal the deal. But a team I did not expect them to be in Surge Week. Scoped and Mason, they've been performing progressively better and better each and every time they enter into these FNCS playlists. But I think this could be the moment for them, especially with their back up against the wall. But as we tune in, Day and Shore, they heard a lot of the fights going down very, very early on, and they're trying to sneak and take advantage of any surprise on a Punisher or Costa.
Well, Punisher and Costa did a good job eliminating Diz Boy and his teammate there pretty quickly. But Day and Shore, a much different caliber of duo here. They're lurking. They might just get the drop on it first. Shore's going to come in directly head on. Day tries to slide around the side. And yes, he's already looking to cut off this opponent. Costa there in the distance. There's ODM here to play with. But now he's like comfortable with the kinetic blade there. You can see the tags though. Punisher's pretty hurt.
Yep. Over for another team that might be having a little bit of struggles. Game winner. A lot of predictions coming down from a lot of these players. Showing they're not going to go down without a fight, but a huge couple of tags. Shield's going to be dropped, and there's his teammate trying to alleviate some of that pressure. I think it's worked for a couple of seconds, but now for Larry and his duo, the decision has to be made. With the amount of damage they just put out, is this worth expending the resources, especially since they pulled zone all the way on the north side of the map?
Now let's not forget those big headshots. They're a huge setback for MarsOW as he has to put down the big heals, and there it is. You can see it all coming through. Will he go ahead and finish it off? Yes, he does. All right, so now back to square one. A little bit on the back foot here. They're deciding if they want to take the fight. Probably not. We know there's a much more passive team. They're going to be defensive in every opportunity that they get first. But of course, we know Surge is an ever-pending, issue, of course. And you see the flare gun coming out into good use there. Full scans. On the other side, Felix and Sparebolt, some of the most veteran teams here in the lobby. They've made so many appearances in weeks like Surge weeks. They've had the, of course, the experience of solidifying dubs here in the past. What will they do?
I love his mindset, especially from that interview, saying we can go ahead and win and qualify through two different conditions: the game win that everybody's gonna be fighting for, or that top 5. So everybody should be playing to win naturally, but at least they have it in the back of their head that if things do go wrong, they can have some sort of backup strategy, at least underneath their sleeve.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. Let's see what Snake and Mega here, setting up the big slam, potentially onto Stacky and Nox. Now remember, these are two very, very experienced duos here. Competition runs deep for both. They've been in so many final style settings. For Snake and Mega, they're some of the most trusted. Snake's just looking though, trying to see if he can find an opportunity going to get inside there. Nothing's gonna turn of it, but this is a huge ambush.
Yeah, you can see them taking their time. Patience is definitely key in a situation like this. Mega and Snake have a combined 20 FNCS final appearance. Tied for second most here in the lobby. You know exactly when to attack, when to go in with a couple shots, playing a little bit of a distraction. Snake just trying to add a little bit more to his repertoire in terms of rotation. You see him opting to go for that kinetic blade with 3 charges. More is always better.
Hey, we'll take the extra charges. That's always going to come in handy. Here's On1 and Zypha, very explosive duo, but On1 almost isolated in between this duo here that has several angles to work on him. I do wonder, do they know he is inside the building? Probably. Curly does seem to be on edge, but no, On1, door open, lurking nearby, opens onto Curly. Okay, great tag, not a big one, maybe not exactly what he was looking for, but the piece control comes in from down low. Curly does an excellent job playing defensively. Now he's got his back against the wall. Oh, look at this, dude. Working.
Using it as a distraction. As soon as On1 shot that shot, you see Curly and his alarm. He went and centered himself. Zypha just trying to go for the sneak attack for the 2v1 over on the other side. Curly doing such a great job taking control of the pieces, but immediately as he knew that Zypha ran away, he turns around and try to help Nerf. Playing in the same box in close proximity from your duo is huge and important in a lot of these fights.
Well, On1's built a great reputation of being able to finish these fights and do it successfully without taking damage. So far, he's been the one on the high ground, just really looking in, trying to see if he can go ahead and find that explosive opener. Nothing just yet. There it is, the first tag. Just a little trade-off here, but the zone's coming in. The pressure's on now. Here comes the ticking clock.
On1 trying to use that big pot. He knows the fight's inevitable. They don't want to let all their resources they expended up until this point to go to waste. Yeah. On1, he's played in the FNCS Invitational. He wants to return to that global stage. And step 1 to get to that stage is qualify here through Surge Week. Step number 2, if he does qualify, is going to play through the FNCS Grand Finals, and top 3 teams get into that global championship at the end of the year.
Oh, Curly barely there with a moment's beat there. Hits the slurp, or the fish there in the final moments, the flopper to keep him alive. That was almost all over. The tournament run could have dropped there for just a moment. But there goes the reset. They realize, yeah, there's much more danger than just On1 and Zypha sitting above us. There's a team in the distance, so that's going to cost even more material. Here comes the big flare shot. Okay, so they have all the attention they need, but yeah, like you said, Jacob, material probably a little more important right now.
What makes it so hard for them, Zypha just doesn't have mobility. So even though On1 does have that ODM gear, it's going to be hard for them to disengage as a team. But luckily enough, that team right below, they spread up, they go different directions, and I think that could be a great play for them unless somebody does go down, because it makes them focus on 2 different targets. And look at the distance they've already covered in that short time, as Paper and Caesar are trying to cover distance of their own mind. That's Parks who gets tagged up towards the sky. Doesn't look like his duo is anywhere in sight, so he needs to be careful if he keeps trying to ODM away, because if he gets tagged up with enough elevation, he will take fall damage.
Notice what Paper's doing, playing for that extreme high ground. It's going to cost even more material. For Pards is on the run right now. And look at this, it's just cutting through all of the mats there. Yeah, you can run, but you can't hide. That's a full shield crack there. Excellent for Paper. Now, mind you, Paper just coming off of eliminating Mars, OW, and crew there. And we do get to see those highlights there, Jacob. I mean, you have to imagine for Paper right now, he's feeling pretty good. Look at the ambush here. Lets thought he was safe with the wide outskirt rotate, but no, sir. They got collapsed on.
I like this right here between Paper and Caesar, though, because immediately as they saw it was a player separated from his team, they pounced like lions on a piece of meat in the safari. That's something that you really need to take note of in a situation like this, is the advantages you have in a lot of these fights. You have to take them, because sometimes when you take too long, when those opportunities go right out the window.
That's right. For Swirl and Aoxy right now, they're very much comfortable here just outside the Brutal Bastion, but let's just get caught up. How did they find the eliminations? They have control of the Volt right now, and here goes the full fight. Made it look nice and easy. Walk on through. 160s for the follow-up, and then the 120 there. And what a play for Swirl here. Didn't even need his teammate to back him up. No distraction there from Aoxy. He literally caught the two-piece. And whoa, check in and a catch up from the Mega City Scented. And Fab's down, has to get picked up here.
From one vault to another, you can see what the impact it's going to do. And in week 3, in their miracle run, Fabs in game number 6 had a huge heroic save to bring Scented back. And Scented's like, now it's my turn. This is only game number 1, but there's no time to give on up as Noxie's getting cornered. Mew and Wooten are trying to go ahead and pounce while the iron is hot, and they do almost immediately take out another player. The thing that I kind of noticed at a lot of these loadouts, though, is the lack of actual HP heals that might come into use later on in the game.
That's right. Take a look at D-Roller now. We get to jump in action over here. It's just fights everywhere. Jackson, D-Roller, a team that we can absolutely see push their way through, either through consistency or victory royales today. Very experienced here. Ideal loadout in hand. ODM gear. Big legendary slurp juice on hand. Big pots as well for the rotates. This beautiful Cardi actually finds potentially Fabs there in the feed, so that tells us a story in full there. All right, that's how that all unfolded. D-Roller's a slide back. Now he heard the pickup happen, and yes, looks for the full elimination. He's just a tag away now.
Yeah, without even knowing and seeing it, that's probably exactly what did happen to Fabs as well, with Scented going for that reboot. It's one of those risk-reward scenarios to where, yeah, you need your teammate back into the game, but at the same time, when the reboot goes off, like a giant alarm in the sky saying, hey, look at us, we're trying to make a game-saving play. But luckily enough, with Fabs going down 2 times in this game, Scented still keeping this show on the road. Very interesting to how he plays this one out going for the weapons cache, though, because another team here in this lobby is granted that same cache, and it's worth fighting for, especially at this stage in the game.
Yeah, he's a solo right now, right? So he kind of has to go ahead and fight for this one now. We did just quite literally tune in with Fabs getting picked up. Cardi was there in the distance. Patek alongside. Quick knock and a finish. ODM gear to slide on in, get the conclusion on that one. And that book in story is closed and done. There's a true veteran. I'm sure there's plenty rooting for the good old Clarity G in Casker here. This is a truly excellent and exceptional duo right here. Chances are they'll be in finals next week.
I'm pretty sure like a lot of us are surprised they're even in Surge Week this week. So I gotta agree with you there. One of the teams I believe that could play through both consistency and that win scenario with Rift Island Spawn. You see so many teams all around, particularly Sprite and Giants towards the top. They're trying to claim it as their own. They're gonna get a bunch of hills, but more importantly, the overclock pulse rifles. They deal so much damage in an instant. You heard Kelly break it down, almost 230 a second without aiming down sights.
Well, if you are just tuning in, this is game 1 of North America. The full merge of NA East and West has been playing out over the last couple weeks. The first time we get to see a Surge Week as all these players now start to culminate, basically changing the pacing of the region, the style of gameplay. You have these players that were once considered effectively creative warriors, right? True fighters, box fighters, jumping onto the NA region, and now it all happens here. But Paper and Shadow, this is a very interesting duo, of course, that we see start to pair up here, both of which have had their own individual success. What they do together. Paper's got much more years of experience playing Fortnite. Shadow, one of the newer, younger players to go ahead and find his little bit of success over the last, I would say, year and a half or so. He started to have his meteoric rise and finds himself amongst the best of the best now.
Yep, fighting through the first 3 weeks. You know, they land over towards Shattered Slabs. You tell by the vault loot alone what they're kind of game plan is going into this one. Quan Jock, 1 elimination, and the biggest difference between the first 3 weeks and this one is it's now 4 points per eliminations instead of the 2 players were granted before. So it's definitely more of a high risk, high reward when it comes to those eliminations.
Well, it's not just experience on this duo, it's also FNCS previous champion in Jock here, sitting alongside Qua, an extremely talented player. They're right next to the West Demons on one. Zypha, who's sitting right above them, so not a safe box by any means. Slacks a nut here, go for a quick pick, and you take a lot of damage.
Yeah, this lobby is stacked. I've never seen so many superstars in one Surge Week alone, so I'm going to have to go ahead and throw it on over to Jenny so she can give us a lay of the land of all the teams here today.
Thank you, Jacob. Yes, as we can see, Nut and Slack are doing a great job getting those surge tags. We had Nut making sure they were completely prepared with tons of heals and materials, and then building up and just getting all of those surge tags and preparing themselves for endgame.
All right, appreciate you, Jenny. Thank you for the catch up there. It really gives us the insight, right? The full scope of what is going on right now. But back on over to Zypha and on one. The big rotates here now more than ever as it become easy to get from point A to point B, but that also means that there are teams situated there. Just take a look at the map. Although you see everyone skating across, you also see folks looking out. The big base is in the distance as well, just hawking, eyeing out all of the players right now.
Yeah, you got to be careful. The zone continues to pull towards the western side, north part of the map. For all those teams congested towards the south, you got to watch out to not get a little greedy for any play because you could become the focus. As Felix and Sparebow, they're dead center in the middle of the map, to where 3 teams are already stacked up. Everybody is making this a focus. You have to watch out because more players are going to begin to kind of third party, fourth party, fifth party, sneak in some shots, and Siren and Noisy are going to be one of those. They find a quick tag onto Mars, taking him down, and the show keeps going. They're just bulldozing from one player to the next.
Oh, for the second time now, we get to see Mars get completely finished, and that looks like that's the run over for him and his duo there. Siren and Noisy are what's left here, now pushing on to Sparebow and Felix. Felix, one of the most competent Fortnite players that we have had compete, especially here today in the Surge Week. Fun fact about Sparebow and Felix, they've actually been playing with one another for almost 4 years as a duo. One of the few teams that have been playing with one another for so long. So this is a scary situation. You have such an experience to a team that's so comfortable with one another. Tons of experience, even in settings like this, the biggest stages. And that is the competition for Siren and Noisy. So defense looks good here. They find the tags they need. They can rotate if they want, but taking their time. They're trying to see, can we convert here?
Trying to take control of those pieces. That is exactly right by the loot. About half materials. He's not in the worst position when it comes to those, but he definitely wants more. And whatever heals are left over there as well, he is missing 50 shields. Megan Snake boxed up against Paper and Shadow for the target of the team that a few paces nearby, and that's them. They're trying to use that to their own advantage. They're under pressure. When is the perfect time to go for a sneak attack? A Shadow knows they're there. He's playing as defensive as possible with him and Paper, but you can see with the shields being lacked on a Paper, it only leads me to believe they need heals. They need something to keep them going.
What's crazy about this is Shadow took down Scented. Scented had all the heals that he needed to survive as a solo, but look at this. They get collapsed on, and that is the pressure, the looming pressure. Mega and Snake make quick work of Paper. Paper's down, but Shadow slides out the side there. They get the attention of a duo off in the distance, and now Snake's trying to wrangle out for this loot. Can he go ahead and secure it? Hard to tell as they are dead center, so it's not like it's a rush to get to the loot, but they don't, of course, want Shadow to come in and steal it all away. But look at Shadow. Puts a huge shot onto Snake, and the respect is earned.
That's massive there. The high risk, high reward that we're talking about. Mega and Snake playing that one close to perfection to try to sneak up and use that third party as their opportunity to strike. And they go ahead and get the eliminations and the loot for their own as Punisher and Cost. This is big right here because out of the season so far throughout the first 3 weeks, 12 VRs came from Kenjutsu Crossing. So this is a big moment for Punisher and Casa because they have the loot, they have the heals, they have the kinetic blades, they have everything they need. They just need to be able to execute and win this game.
Costa and Punisher seemingly going from the slums to the high rises here, as they have found themselves in a pretty optimal position. Heals, material, and everything else. Eliminations as well, so you know Surge is not an issue here. Costa has to get to his duo. Punisher waiting there in the distance. All shots coming in. A little unexpected demolition there, but it's okay. Things kind of ease out here. Here comes a defensive shot back against Redux there. Let's take a look at the high ground. Jack and Qua. They pull zone. They waste no time to invest in material here.
I love this.
And no, they might actually have to go. Yeah, they do.
Jock was leading the charge, just trying to get them a good spot. Qua is just trying to get more surge because 62, that's above. You got a layer of safety that you don't have to worry about for a few seconds, but they are some experts in the lobby. We talk about experience. They are just as experienced as some of the other teams. They know 62 is absolutely nothing. It's not a feeling of comfortability. It's just kind of a warning that, hey, I gotta start getting active yet again.
It's crazy to see them playing for high ground as well. They could have easily opted to stay, in any kind of low box base with a cone above them, completely defended there and protected, but no, they're peering out in the distance. That's probably going to be a team that will just psycho up for height, as we like to say, and play for the dub right now.
I'm just oohing and on because the loot that he just picked up, thanks to this elimination here. You see Aoxy already down. Srill's doing the best that he can to try to hold on to the pieces. It goes for a little cheeky shot to take out both Jackson and D-Roller. He did have the Mythic Havoc pump, but it just was not enough in a 2v1 situation. They go down. The loot changes hand yet again. That has to be at least the third time I've seen it in this game alone, that vault loot is changing hands time to time.
Well, it's not just the zone or the loot changing hands, it's also the zone. The zone goes from north, pulls hard down south now as well, so most of the lobbies are going to find themselves safe here, but Justice and Gear get dropped and finished off by Redux and Nexi. Redux, who we just saw under extreme pressure from Punisher and Costa there, they've managed to turn all odds in their favor. Watch the rotate here. Of course, the Kinetic Blade makes this nice and easy for them. Redux takes a lot of damage here on the move, but they have plenty to go ahead and get them back into a winning position here.
Pretty calm zone for now, but the next one is the one that might prove to be a little drastic depending on where it does pull, and that's why I always stress about the importance of proactivity, gathering the information. Next to Redux, just putting pressure and shots down on so many other teams, and with that Shadow Tracker pistol, it's spotting players out for a number of seconds, so that way the information that they're able to keep, they're able to deal with it a lot longer.
Well, here we have it. It's all or nothing now. The end game has slowly encroached upon us, and all that matters now is get this win here. Of course, if you've made it this far, you've probably earned yourself a fair amount of points, but points is good. The win's even better. You want to go directly to finals here and now. Here's a duo that's below the surge, though. Saucy is putting big tags down. He needs much more there, and him and his duo cannot quite connect there on a vulnerable team in the distance.
Popping that first of his 2 slurp juices. 152. No sense
already
of stability here. Looking up, looking everywhere, but nobody is peeking. That's the thing here on Surge Week. Once you get later and later into these games, the importance is there as the zone pulls south. There's a couple of different elevation changes before we finally settle on the side of a mountain. So if you're not ready for this one, I feel sorry for you. Saucy is still looking for shots with Edward. Wavy Jacob gets tagged up through the sky, but it's still not enough. 64 below the threshold. Now they have to move while still having that in the back of their mind.
This is like a bad dream that's hard to wake up from. Tossing and turning there, and they continue to just battle their way through. About 10 players or so will have to continue to fold over and get eliminated, so it's not over yet. Qua and Jock find themselves front side of zone. That's exactly where the vets want to be. Low ground as well. Wait for them to go and opt into this one, not going for the high ground win strategy, but they do know there are teams poising up for it. A little bit of elevation here gives a bigger decision to make, but again, D-Roller goes down low as well. A lot of teams with a lot of material are playing this low ground here. It's going to pull all the way on down to the valley into the anvil. It's the best spot to be. Edward still fighting the surge here, but no, finally he ends up being collapsed here. On height, though, it's Giants and Sprite.
This is their chance. Overclock pulse rifles in hand. The pressure that they're already putting down, it's only been a few seconds, but Sprite knows I have to go for that loot. I cannot maintain my high ground position without some material to work with. As Zone continues to push them in, they're pushing teams down. High ground's taken again as Costa zooms through the sky, trying to give him and Punisher a layer above all that madness that is on the low ground.
What a game this is for Costa already. 6 elos for him. Punisher has a big one, too. That's 7 here already with 30 other opponents just about left in the lobby here. D-Roller and Jackson, one of the few teams to opt into full low ground with heavy material, are slowly tunneling their way through, but the heavy mats are just about over. On the front side, it's Clarity G and Casker who is leading this rotate, but they have no material. They're going to have to turn and burn on any opponents now. This is the last chance. D-Roller's in front of them. A random chest in front of them is going to yield them just a little bit more. That's nice.
3 pieces of metal. Clarity got 3 pieces of metal to work with the kinetic blade, though. Just waiting for the zone to catch up. Sprite and Giant still putting down so much pressure. Qual and Chalk, they're living on that layer right in the middle, trying to make sure that they are not the main focus, but with the kinetic blade, they zoom through. Qual takes a couple of shots. Splashes are going to have to be expended. Costa with Mythic Munitions lands a perfect shot on one. They get sent back to the lobby. There's not a ton of resources being spread around, though.
Oh, Clarity G is left by himself, though. He loses Casker to the side of the zone there, finished off by Snake, and now he sees all the opponents in front of him, but the zone bounces back. Okay, a little bit of Lady Fortune and luck on his side here for Costa and Punisher, though. They have got so many eliminations worth in just a single game to kick things off. The momentum's on their side. Even if a win is not going to happen here, I mean, the points they've earned is excellent. Costa falls first. It's Qual there with the big shot to greet him. The Siphon comes through, and that is welcome for Jack and Qual.
That's just a huge shot for Qual. No builds, though. Trying to go and gain whatever he can, but he gets tagged up from the side into the top 7 as Jocks is trying to make this solo run go as far as he possibly can. 58 points. He's trying to stagger himself back. He finds the Menvis. This is for sure a possibility. Clarity trying to do the same. First shot's going to get landed. That's Kimzo who goes down. Clarity with the refresh, trying to get the Siphon for the map. This is huge for Clarity and a successful run here in the end game.
Well, I hope you didn't count him out. Z is turning online right now. Small condition here. Does he time the med kit on time? We will find out. Give him 7 seconds here. Scoped and Mason. Hope you didn't forget about them either. They're on the low ground, still alive. Very, very healthy, but the material count pretty low. Clarity does get to make it off. Swings back around. Sees a team below him. Gets material as well. He can continue to hold out here. The decision now is to go down. He's got no other chances here. The floor gets opened up. He sees an opponent. Toes are shown, and Mason finds him first. Down comes Giants and Sprite, and they're here to finish out the game. Scope's gonna fall there, but he needs to find the body. Otherwise, Mason will win the game, and Mason sits back and takes that one home.
There were absolutely no heals on our top 7 teams. All but Mason, who goes to the backside of zone. Just make sure to keep their games alive. They have now qualified to the FNCS Major 2 Grand Finals.
Well, listen, I dropped the video. I was asking for action, and it looks like we got it. That one went to the final moments there. Scoped and Mason really pulled through. We get to jump in here where they had already 3 eliminations, but then they start cleaning up house in the end there, and that was the fatal error from Giants. He just missed Scope's down body, which would have gave him a little bit more time.
Yeah, just the timing, exactly what you said. Sprite and Giants needed a few more seconds down to the low ground, fighting tooth and nail because they had no heals, but they had those overclock pulse rifles. I think with game number 1 done, second game, they're definitely going to learn their lesson.
Well, congratulations to Mason and Scope. Game 1 is wraps. That's of 5. It's happening quickly here. So let's catch up with Z.
Thank you guys so much. My gosh, Mason comes out clutch here, saving those vital heals. And that's actually what the player that joined us, Sparrow, at the beginning of the show, talked about how vital those heals were.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not just like taking those all the way into the end game. We tuned in right there with some of those highlights. They had so many eliminations, finding them on the low ground, and that was pretty much key to them being able to be in a position to actually win this game, claiming that front side of low ground, finding the opportune moments to get those shots in and then pick up those refreshes, find the heals from other players, allowed Mason to carry all of these heals all the way into the end game. Just simply outlive the opponents.
And I love that you used the word position there because we could see Mason taking that position on the downward side of the hill, being able to peek onto where his opponent could potentially come in so that he would get the first shot off. And there we have it. Look at these guys scoped coming in right now. 0 historical FNCS Victory Royales. Well, it looks like that's going to change.
Yeah, this is the one, right? Remember, Victory Royale will send you and your duo straight to Grand Finals. No questions asked, while everyone else is playing for the Victory Royale or that consistency coming in that top 5. This is huge for this duo now because they just looking at like, hey, 4 games. I'm good, man. I'm going to go play some Arena later.
Yeah, absolutely gone. I mean, we've known Scope for a very, very long time. Now, one of the best controller regions on the region, so no surprise to see him there. But let me tell you something. they got the victory royale, but look at the lead that Sprite and Giants have created already. Find themselves first place, 88 points. And I was actually watching this duo pretty much throughout that entire game. They played almost flawlessly when it came to all of those rotates. 6th, 7th, 8th zone. It was actually really, really crazy. We saw them bounce back and forth, north, south, north, south. The kinetic blade usage out of that duo, though, is phenomenal.
Another duo that I was watching was definitely Qua and Jack right there, using that kinetic blade to get a little bit of height, see where the rest of the lobby was, and then finding the perfect position to put themselves in. There was a moment in, I think it was zone 10 or zone 11, where they saw that there was so much congestion to the left side of where they wanted to go that they actually used their second kinetic blade shot to go to the right side where it was a lot less congested. And then they did it once again where they used the kinetic blade. They're used to going onto the low ground, but instead they saw that the low ground was chaotic. So they built into the mid ground instead. Such smart plays coming out of this duo right here.
But the pivotal, part of their game right there was actually that refresh that they found on that mid ground. It's really, really important to kind of have like set plays with your duo, right? Who's going to break the wall? Who's going to go for the cone placement? And they kind of executed that one flawlessly. Also, when it comes down to making these edits, letting your duo know, hey, this edit is coming. Both of them ready for the shot right there. They just kept finding refreshes on the mid ground that pretty much just carried them into that late game.
Yeah.
And they're already treating this like grand finals, right? These are grand finals movements they're taking. So they're saying, we may not need the victory out. Let's play for that consistent. Let's treat this like we're at that level, right, Kelly?
Well, they need to be. And a lot of the things that people don't look at, although, yes, you don't want to be in this position where you are in Surge Week. There's a possibility you don't get to make it. This is also an incredible opportunity for these players to practice for when they do go into grand finals.
Absolutely. Another duo, really quickly, Thoric Bolts. I feel like we've been talking about these guys a lot here on the NA region, but now they're finding themselves in Surge Week. But... ... also in third place, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually like a big storyline here to follow, right? Finding themselves in Surge Week. This is, of course, the reigning NA West FNCS champions. The last ones actually on that region, now combined NA region. They have to show up, right? They have to be like, hey, listen, NA West, we can compete with the best. They have to make sure they make it into grand finals if they want a chance to go ahead and defend that title. But so far, game number one, it's looking very, very good for them. The thing that I like the most about this duo right now is how much control they're finding around themselves on their mid-ground layer, the one that they select.
I think a part of their success, too, was that mythic munition, one of the augments that used to be taken out of the game, now back into it, and we can see how much damage that pistol does.
Absolutely. Can't forget Costa, Punisher, and of course, Punisher has that Sancho West guarantee. For them to be able to hold that top 5 at the end of the day would be huge for the duo.
This duo is going to be contested, and as you can see right here, already 5 eliminations on Costa. They actually tied the most with Sprite and Giants for eliminations in this game. This duo getting 8 as well. I mean, 7 on them on Costa. We are going to have to make sure that we keep an eye on him throughout the day because the eliminations that he is getting right now, especially considering that they are 4 points each, might just carry them in the grand finals.
Something I saw a little interesting was the double movement that we saw on Costa there. He had a kinetic blade and he had the ODM gear. Now, that did mean he didn't have a slot available for heals. We saw they only had the small pots available, which might have been part of their downfall and the reason that we didn't see them higher in placements. But when you're grabbing that many eliminations, who needs placement points?
Yeah, again, treat it like your grand finals, right? You don't have to worry about the victory out because at that point, the victory out doesn't matter as much. But here in Surge Week, it is so vital. It will give those duos that may not be in that top 5 that second fighting chance for grand finals, David.
We're going to have to keep an eye out on how the lobby continues to develop, right? Mason and Scope in grand finals. Is anybody going to look to take over where they're landing? Right? Might have multiple teams kind of land over there, right? Every single early game, as the games go on, it feels like it's going to be shaken up just that much more.
Yeah, everyone get out your bingo cards because I'm going to say it. Adapting is the name of the game, and you're going to hear us say it time and time again, especially for Surge Week, where that is probably the biggest key to success.
Especially when you have to think about it. Remember, this duo, they're gone. Mason, Scope, they're already heading to grand finals. Everyone else has to think, is their POI uncontested? They're not there anymore. We'll have to wait and see as this continues to develop, but we know what you want. You want some more games, don't you? Yeah, we got, remember, 4 more. This is Surge Week. Buckle up. It's game 2 time.
congratulations one more time to both Mason and Scope, because I know Scope at the very minimum has now got all his snacks ready to watch the rest of this one play out.
He gets to sit back, throw his legs up on the desk, you know, have a good old time now. Wait for them to win from the low ground, something we don't see too often there. So for them to go ahead and really power on through, that was exciting. I was counting out all these teams on a low. I'm not going to lie, man. Sprite and company just look so poised for the dub there. I mean, you're upset when it slips away, but at the end of the day, you still pick up tons of points.
Yeah, just the one thing they kind of misjudged was their heals and their position and win condition towards the end of the game. But them, Punisher, Costa, that Kenjutsu crossing is playing a huge role in a lot of success throughout the FNCS overall. But with game number 1 done, I'm here. I'm ready for more games. The Battle Bus is ready for game number 2, and I hope everybody is as well.
Let's go ahead and strap on in and jump on off this bus. We already saw Mega City, 4 teams there. That's not a free ride for Scented and Fabs at all. Down at the Steamy Springs, Punisher and Costa, although in second place right now from that big performance there in game 1, they have a lot of company as well in the surrounding areas. Paper and Shadow. We tuned in with them in the last game. They had a very solid mid-game situation going on. Also, just finding a bit of success there. You know, we love to see it. And just take a look at that laser focus from Paper. But oh no, Felix falls in the feed there to Minish out the gate.
That's not what you want to have happen. Just kind of start the game off for Paper and Shadow, though. Uncontested. No worries for them for quite a while, but back to Kenjutsu Proms. We have a 4-way fight going down. Punisher, he gets the combat, but not landing the neat shots. A trade's gonna go through. Zyro left by himself. He has the red eye. You can see Yasir as well. He dropped that Havoc, and there it goes. The final blow. Zyro rises to the top, and this is a team, the only team in today's lobby that picked up a single VR throughout the first 3 weeks.
What a tough situation to be then. You have this big game, 4 eliminations before the end game even swings around, and then you pop off in the end game and find yourself in high placement points there. That was the story from game 1 for Costa and Punisher. And now, all that momentum picked up, paused.
Luckily, you still have that win and you're in scenario. So that's where these mental games come in while you're sitting in the lobby for the next 25 or so minutes. Kind of think about all the mistakes that went wrong in game number 1, how things went wrong here in this next game. And for Costa and Punisher, 68 points. That's what they can have there. Held high is because they're high up on the leaderboard, enough to where they can slip up at least one time.
Well, here we have it. Potential other battle to go down here at the Brutal Bastion. Ledes and Dorito Zigny here, just kind of hanging out, looking around, trying to see what they can go ahead and put together. Remember, the most important thing is, of course, you get completely situated. You find yourself in that confidence seat, and then you, of course, take your battles. The Brutal Bastion is inside the zone, so we don't have to worry too much about just sitting back here and kicking it for a bit. Aoxy doesn't find himself with his duo, so that's a struggle story developing there. Now, remember, Day and Ajox, we saw them set up pretty nicely and then swing all the way around, right? Playing that dead side rotate here from the Slappy Shore. So very interesting to see a player like Day just being passive, man, understanding the pressure, right? Understanding what's on the line here for Surgery.
Yeah, it didn't have to go through a lot of these players' minds and a lot of the scenarios that we're in, but Spotify and Coxie, they get the high ground taken away by Saucy and Edward, but he's fresh out of build, so that's going to be his height limit. That is going to be reached. Shield keg going down, but shots coming in from third parties as well. The higher you are, the farther you fall, especially with those third parties coming in. Spotify and Coxie, that's where they're taking their time. They have all that piece control towards the bottom. It is definitely theirs for the taking.
And Spotify is, of course, going to get the signal that up top there's a heal going down, so they probably understand what is at play here, that there is a third party. Yeah, there it is, off in the distance there, just to the west. The fight's not over. It's slow and steady here. LOL Saucy's behind that wall. Danger lurking nearby. When will he jump?
Yeah, this is one of those fights that, without a lot of resources, it's right out of the gate. It's a contested drop. There's not a lot of work rate for these players, and that's where this chess match is actually going down between the two teams. It's finally going to break out. Spotify is going to be one of the first players going down. Puts a lot of pressure onto Coxie to try to survive, but luckily enough, Edward is getting tagged up from that third party, but it also lands a couple of shots onto them. living on just a sliver of HP. Edward has another chance in this game.
Not gonna lie, thought he was done, but he had a little bit of health there, and that holds him in the game here. Day, looks like there's trouble here. It's broken, and Jutros is on the walls there, putting on pressure. Oh, wow. Quick peek and shot from behind there. What he thought was gonna be some free headshots ends up getting it in return. You give and you take. Here comes the push, another tag from an unexpected player. Yeah, this is tough. Whatever team's down south is definitely putting all types of free tags here onto Day and Age.
They also heard the shots. They heard the shield break. And that's when they try to make the move with the kinetic blade. The longer you take, the higher probability of them getting healed up and the better fighting shape. And that's why you see Ajok and Deshawn, they're comfortable on that mid layer. They're just getting materials. They're getting their resources. They're playing in a position in which they're comfortable in. And you see what it's doing to Broken and Jutras. They're forcing them down layer by layer into the palm of their hands. If they make the wrong move, they slip up, they get separated, it is definitely going to be disastrous for them in their game.
Jutras and Broken there did not earn anything in the last game, so already they've getting more playtime now than he had in the previous round. Can they convert for Day and A? I mean, listen, they're just going to go and slow down here, go and reset, try to find some material. Let's mix it up, though. Let's start sliding north.
Zone. This time around, from a north pole, it looks like we've got a little bit of a southern lean on us, favoring a little bit more towards that eastern side, so we have a potential for a mega city zone. And if I can guess that one, hopefully a lot of these players have it in the back of their minds of when and where to begin to rotate. And I think this is another example here with Jock and Qual. They were already separated. They like that high mountain over towards mega city to where they're predicting a lot of teams to rotate into.
Give us a second, though. Noxie and Saki taking a fight right here. Looks like they have the opponents on the run. It is Giants, our first place team of Sprites and Giants that are on the run right now. Giants doesn't have too much shield, the Sprite does. But you have to assume he was jumped on. Noxie slides in, very experienced player right here. And just shows him what he is capable of. Now that things slow down, now that the momentum's out of his favor, they go ahead and back off. So almost get the full elimination turned over there. But since they don't convert, they say, hey, let's get on out of here. We're good.
Got 14 in week number 1. They're just trying to keep their hopes and dreams alive. They got enough damage in which they feel comfortable with, at least when it comes to that Storm Surge. And now, just like a lot of the other teams, they're just trying to position themselves with any bit of elevation to try to take shots on people into the distance.
Here's Mayu and Crackly. I love the name, though, of course. Mayu Game 4, looking to set things up for us. Still Game 2 if you are just tuned in, so plenty of Fortnite to go in front of us.
See Clarity and Casker as well. They know this side of the map. They know that a team lands over towards Naughty Nets. That's Nosh, that's Tavern. And they're really just putting shots on them into the distance because they have to kind of climb up the elevation in towards their hands. Even with the kinetic blades or an ODM gear, that's something that leaves you vulnerable for shots from a team like this. And that's why you see them kind of huddled up down there. Even though you not necessarily see them, you got to guess on the minimap that they're huddled up. Now they're having to rethink their strategy, go a whole different rotation because Clarity and Caskers have gate-kept this portion of the map.
Well, I love this little evening outing here for Clarity, G, and Casker now, so they get to go ahead and ease out. Nice position for them. It doesn't look like it's the same for Paper here. Paper, Shadow. Shadow's hurt. There's a fight going down.
Yep. Over uncontested at Shattered Slab. You see the loot that they haven't had. Jenny, we're going to go and throw it on over to let us know how Paper and Shadow have been doing thus far.
Yeah, our Game 1 winners, Mason and Scoped, are no longer landing here, of course. Now it is leaving it uncontested for Paper and Shadow, which is actually so good because they do have the vault. However, this could, make the Storm Surge a little different for them, so we might see them get a bit aggressive during mid-game.
Well, the truth is, teams are going to have to get aggressive. They want to go ahead and combat that surge. As we all know, things get very dangerous pretty quickly. Before you know it, you can find yourself literally slipping behind and a team that could have been just that, Sprite and Giants. What a game 1, right? Yeah, they didn't win, but they had a huge second place, tons of eliminations, puts them in this position. And just a moment ago, we almost saw it all cut short.
They set the bar for themselves. They just have to perform within standard or, of course, get that VR. On any game on the day, you advance directly into the FNCS Major 2 Grand Finals. see a couple teams into the distance, particularly former NA West player before we combined, Wavy Jacob, along with Static. I've seen him in so many finals before. I've seen him with a huge run along with Vanillas in the past through Surge Week to make it to an FNCS finals. And he's one of those players that he hadn't taken it super serious during the offseason throughout the first 3 weeks, that he left himself in a pressure situation, but he has the fighting skills, he has the brain, he has the teammate in the Static. If it's not a top 5, it is definitely worth noting that he could pop off and get the VR.
Let's just get a W for Wavy Jacob, man. Opting in, throwing the camera up, really letting us get a glimpse in from behind the scenes. We love to see just how much development and growth we've seen from our Fortnite players over the course of the years, and supporting this entire event in these ways. Continue to show support and shower them with love on social. I'm sure they appreciate it. So if you like those cameras, I mean, let them know you like it. We want more. We'd love to see it. But let's just go ahead and hop into the action here. Jutros, Broken, finding themselves in a zone, but it's not just them. There's so many players, not only to the north, but just on the outskirts, really riding this slow wave here as they have 40 seconds before things collapse, and not even looking to take fights with one another, right? Just really trying to say, hey, this is game 2. We only have 5. Wow, how can we get to this end game?
Be a question a lot of teams are asking themselves. As we see a team just on the cusp of the north side of the zone, DeRoller and Jackson, 54 points.
Yeah.
A very good game in game number 1. It's about keeping that consistency throughout 5, or simply get that VR, which we're going to call out through the day. And you can see the zone continuously pulling towards the south. There's still some water left in the zone, so we, in theory, should have another southern pull here. But throughout the next 2 zones after that, that's when you got to expect that cutback from a lot of these teams.
Well, just looking at the feed there, looks like Dorito finds a couple tags onto Ajox there, so Day is left in Slappy Shore still by himself. But over here, it's not safe either. D-Roller and Jackson have to play this one out. There are tons of players coming in, but look, they didn't clear all the trees, so because of that, they don't have lines of sights on all the opponents. Maybe that's what they wanted, though. Maybe they want to keep a low profile. But here's a team that's not doing it at all. It's Chopped and Defiable here.
Yep. 2 more players from that former NA West region. It just goes to show that this season, with the combined regions, these 2 different East and West had to really learn the play styles of one another as you get into a lobby like this. We've seen more and more fights in this region than East has ever had, so a lot of these players are up for that challenge as well, as Rift Island is going to spawn, as Sprite and Giants can be daring enough to go back-to-back to try to get those overclock pulse rifles. Well, if they are, they're going to have to go through Jackson and DeRoller.
Yeah, and they're already up there, first of the draw. For Caesar and Paper Cut, though. They're just eyeing things out, trying to see, is anyone going to make this wide rotate here? They do have a great angle. In theory, on paper, this should be one of the better spots to go out and position yourselves up for some tags, but unluckily for them, not too many going and taking that rotate on in there. Jumping back with Jackson D-Roller, though. Wow. If they get the upgrades they were looking for.
Told you, these former West players are ready to fight it on out. That was Defiable and Kinzo. Even though they were beat to Rift Island by Jackson and D-Roller, they confidently Kinetic Blade and ODM towards the high ground and built themselves a box on the actual capture point. They're trying to get those overclock pulse rifles, and take note, they built themselves 2 layers up. So now when all the loot spawns, it's going to spawn in that top box where they have that little bit of elevation.
That's right. Definitely trying to optimize their positioning here. Dead Chop looking out to the side here. Jackson's completely exposed, by the way, and sitting in the storm right now, so you know they're counting the moments here.
I wonder if Jackson is just trying to hide his location. Maybe he doesn't think they know he's there, but somebody else off the island is tagged in that direction, so at least sense of some information as Kinzo and Defiable just going to get what they came for. And it does look like they might try to disengage after this because they are in zone for so long, and then that's Jackson and DeRoller kind of cleaning up the scraps if that comes to fruition.
Yeah, although they did get there first, they say, hey, you know what? Let's play pass, let's sit back, we'll even take some zone. Go ahead, get what you need, leave us at rest, so we can try and play this one out here. But here's a team that's 85 below. There's not going to be any type of passive situation here. No unwritten, unspoken agreements. This is a battle that will break out. Saucy's on the heels of Lavery and crew. Shield bubble down already, and a second there available if needed, which will be needed, by the way. There is a lot of teams nearby. There it is. They throw it down. They're trying to get in front here. And now they're safe. Needs to make the edit. It's taking too long to think here. Let's see it.
Storm Surge gonna be a thing here in about a couple seconds. 104 below. Struggles do continue for Edward and Saucy as Edward just getting tagged out of the sky. You can see by his HP, forcing out a slurp juice to try to get himself anything to work with. Storm Surge now doing damage to Saucy, forcing out a lot of his meds very, very early on. Does have the med miss, but he's not going to be able to get up to full HP or full shield. They're wasting a lot of time here, not going for the shots, but as soon as they peek, they get tagged up yet again. Finally popping a mini at the perfect time, but on the other angle, they're just getting pressured from all over, and they're separated. They're essentially playing this as solos.
Doesn't quite find what he needs, and it's just a moment away now before he potentially gets fully finished here. He has to fight back, but no. There goes the big tag. There goes the finish. Larry and WTJ Games winner finds himself a great tag there. Nicely done.
Taking advantage of the situation, even though that doesn't net a ton of damage when it comes to their Storm Surge. It's a huge refresh. Defiable and Kinzo, before even disengaging, the roller got caught slipping. Jackson was left by himself. 2v1 situation against all this loot is not a fight I want to battle up against. Defiable and Kinzo come out on top, add 8 more points to their total.
I like it. 500 above the surge as well. So a very prime position here. Time to get out of here though, right? We've sat in the zone long enough. We need to continue to tank anything here. And there it is. He's going to play nice and low. Want to get those feet on the ground there. Just slide on through. A couple teams still positioned up. Scented and Fazby and one of the few on the edge, but let's jump in with Liam. Let's jump in with Jitter here. They're in a toe-to-toe engagement right now. They've done well to stay ahead of the surge, but there's a duo now encroaching on their space, and they don't like it.
I thought he was going to be able to kind of drop him in. 8 has no shields to his name. Liam using the big pot to try to get himself up to 200 shield and HP. Fighting against that high ground, playing defensively. A Storm Surge now playing a role on their opponents, even though they don't necessarily need the damage. It's their opponents are going to try to bum rush them. I don't know if they noticed that on the side of Liam and Jitter, but this is an A1 play to get out. You don't want any of that mess, especially since you yourself are well above that threshold.
And they find themselves a nice little bit of loot left over as well here at the Mega City. But Dizboy tried to get there too. He was too short, too late. And in a moment, Casker and Clarity will be feasting on the pickup there. Noodle's there to try to back it up too. He wants a piece of that loot there. Doesn't quite get it. Doesn't even matter. He was also below the surge, so a very desperate play for them. And just like that, Clarity and Casker picked themselves 2 eliminations up. Tons of loot as well. Completely delivered to them. And Jitter and Liam, crazy that they want to fight for this right here. They want the material more than anything. This is what this is telling us, but also look at the rifle upgrades available as well. Shotgun there too. Oh man. Options if they want him.
Double legendary.
Yeah.
For Clarity and Casters. I gotta imagine they have similar loot because they didn't even try to fight for it at all. As Wavy, Jacob, and Static already getting 1 elimination between the both. They're just trying to scrounge together their own loot as well, as it does pull outside of Mega City. So the zone is going to pull all the way towards the west, forcing a lot of these teams to move up elevation, up the mountains. And you see one of those arrows outside of Mega City positioned on that high ground. They already got themselves a skyscraper in the sky. So any team that's trying to bypass them has to watch out from those shots raining from above.
There's Fabs and Scented. They find themselves from point A to point B here, right on the next edge of the zone. What a struggle it's been. Game 1 definitely did not go in their favor. Game 2 looking pretty tough here. Yeah, they're above the surge, but the material count, my oh my, has it been just whittling away here. And the zones landed on Mega City. You would think they'd be pretty okay, but it just shows us with no eliminations, they're going back and forth, tit for tat with other opponents here. This is just a dangerous place to be.
Tell. Only 4 points so far. All they got in that game number 1 was a singular elimination, no placement points. 27 teams still alive, so no placement points have been handed out just yet until we get into that top 25. And for Turtle Tavern, for Nexi, you gotta hope that your teammates are still alive, just like Nosh is. This is where you begin to pick up points. And as a solo, if you play your cards right, you could scrape together, outlast a couple more teams, and kind of pick up points in positions you probably shouldn't.
Well, very seldomly will we see a player like this just really, really looted and booted for an endgame here. plenty to work with, fresh off the med kit. We like to see, I think Nox is going to be okay to make it for an end game there. Sometimes it is easier to just fend for yourself. Not have to really think about things.
Yeah, for a lot of these players rotating towards the right side, they got the timing perfect. A lot of them rotating together.
Look at this.
You can see them immediately try to turn around as soon as they make it to zone. This is where a lot of these teams will begin to play gatekeeper. But with the different elevations, this is where proactivity is key, to try to position yourself as far away from that ultimate low ground as possible.
Well, the last time we were here in game 1, this surge lasted a very long time. Will it be the same as we are now starting to close things out? It's going to be extremely, extremely hectic. Pay close attention to that top left corner as the elims will start to begin. On high ground, though, Mega and Snake. Okay, so they have some of the better positioning there. And they're looking down. They're not making it easy for anyone. Scented and Fabs. This is the struggle they've been in. Now at just a single material left to use for Scented. He can only build a one-wall structure here. And the zone pulls far. They're going to have to find their way from where they are onto another team and finish them pretty quickly.
They do have some timing here when zone does begin to move, especially if you count on the fact of those kinetic blades. But what they don't have is that material, which you're speaking of. They gotta hunt for some sort of a siphon. But luckily enough, they're both IGL type players. They both know how to scout for that information. They both know where to look to possibly get that refresh. But for them, just like in that game 6 of week number 3, it's now or never.
Well, they cut things dead even right there. 4 mats for each and a little bit of heals too. Kinzo, though, does not stop. He finds himself young salty here. The finish, and he is by himself. Lost the Fireball on the journey here. But the 6 elims here, he's happy about. He's earned so many points already thus far.
Scary one right
Competition
there.
gets a little crazier here. The zone's moving.
Kinzo just on the other side, just trying to keep that layer between them. Piece control is getting stolen. He immediately disengages. He's trying to use all these other players' Wizard through the Sky's kinetic blade as his golden ticket to try to get to the front side of the zone. And that was almost perfectly played, but down goes Scented, down goes Fabs. Before a lot of those placement points stick in, they still have 3 more games to make the run, but they're putting themselves into that corner.
So close, yet so far there. You just need material. When the desperate plays like that come through in the end, it is hard for any team to convert and find something big from it. Kinzo, though, continues to fight back. Widow and Madden from the 2 a.m. team find themselves on the high ground. Game 1 was okay, earned at least a little something, but this is where things start to really add up. You gotta make it past this 9 zone here. You gotta make it to the late stages if you at least want to earn some big placement points.
With this elevation, choice is theirs when it comes to the timing. Kinetic Blade, be one of the first teams to the front side of zone, stagger yourself back, try to put pressure with that red eye all around the lobby. On1 and Zypha, they're smushed down low. So for them, they gotta worry about a lot of these teams, when and where they're gonna rotate. But Zypha with both the ODM and the Kinetic Blade, he definitely has 2 different versions of that rotation. So if he runs short on those charges, he at least has something up his sleeve to continue his run. Squad and Jock, they're getting staggered back. You see a lot of teams flying through the sky with the Kinetic Blade. That is gonna be their green light to go.
Wavy Jacob trying to play for height right there as well. Bolts is gonna fall there. Thoric is now left to play defensively by himself here. He looks around, there's 2 on the left side, multiple on the low ground. That's not a safe peak by any means, but On1, Zypha, who would have thought we'd find them below the Storm Surge? This is a very scary team to corner with their backs against the wall, and now they start to turn up.
They go. Wars and fighting. On1's the guy. Omizi goes down, sent right back to the lobby, but he's under pressure. Shots coming in. Slurp Juice is going to be popped, and with that flare, he could still pop it out and see where everybody's positioned at so he can make his rotation.
It's not over just yet for Kinzo. His story continues. We talked about a solo that was so set up to do big things. It was him here. He's really looking up. He's trying to say, hey, what can I do here? Nothing just yet. But no, stuck between a team there. Has to exit out. Misses the first at it. Finds the other. And safety is right in front of him, but it cost him so much material just for this single miss there. It's Qua and Jack. So elevated here, away from danger, on metal material. They have enough to slide for a little bit longer, but remember, these zones start to pull further and further now. So that material count will start to dwindle down here. on one, not even putting protection above them. They're just fighting their way through still. Haven't found the material that they need.
They need a refresh for multiple different reasons.
There it is.
Chug Splash is going to be picked up. Material as well. Onwin needs to get out of this position. Pressure from all angles. The peak goes through. Onwin takes another tag. 11 HP. He's still fighting through it all. And that refresh he found is the key for his success. Only 2 splashes though. So HP and shield still going to be drastic. But I think if anybody can get the job done, it's one of West's best box fighters.
And he's just showing you how it is done. Wait for him to stay up right now. Snake, though, on the low ground, finds a huge one, and that's onto Diego. And look, there's a player in the distance, doesn't even realize how dangerous of a situation he was in, but Kinzo falls too. And now Snake is really starting to turn online. What a great finish for him and Mega to find all the points there when it mattered. But they were still just shy of that top 10, so here we have it.
Macro and User, Clarity, Caster, so many teams just trying to stay alive with the madness. Another elimination is going to be found as Smallsy gets taken out. Into the top 10 we go. And for some of these teams, that's big points and consistency. But sitting cool as a cucumber, not a worry in the world. Qua and Chalk at the high ground, putting pressure, forcing these altercations towards the low ground.
And this is Surge Week. You need to take a W to go straight to finals. Why wait for Wavy Jacob, though? He's lost his teammate. No static here. It's just him. Enemies behind the wall there. All of this is all enemy territory, but now he gets crushed in the bottom. Widow gets crushed right afterwards as well. It's only Paper and Shadow, one of the few remaining duos here. Healthy as well. Material in hand, but it's running short.
You can see it, you can feel it right here, right before our very eyes. The vault loop from Shattered Slabs, bringing them so far. But User popping the slurp juice. Splash is gonna go out. Doesn't have much time when it comes to that heal off. Has to find the eliminations, but with all the time in the world, 9 splashes, Chalk and Qual, they have this one in the bag. The timing has to be perfect though, so when they send one down and try to go for the eliminations, exactly what Shadow's trying to do, but he gets knocked down. It's all up to Paper here in the top 3.
Paper has to double back now because of that single elim, that big find there, and he knows there's an opponent in the distance here. Can he get it from him? But no, doesn't look like it's going to be possible here. He has to be quick. He has to find him, and he does! What a way to turn things around and really take advantage of the situation, but we know High Ground was, of course, being babied by Jack with all the splashes there, and now Paper's looking around. He doesn't quite find him. He sees the tarp, and he feels like this might just be it. And just a moment's breath, but no, doesn't quite find a tag. 4 beats away. Jack had just 40 HP difference. One heal could have been like literally all he needed for Paper.
And Paper got the eliminations at the low ground. You see him looking through all that loot, trying to scavenge what he can. He found materials, he found ammo, he found mobility, but he didn't find any HP, and that was the difference between Qua and Jock securing their ticket to the FNCS Grand Final.
What a way to do it, right? The FNCS champion Jock here says, hey, give me a second, save me at spot. You know what, Qua, you can come on with me there. Game 2, what a way for them to finish. And they did it with splashes, right? But you could tell the desperation in Jack. He ran out. He's like, I gotta go fight. I'm not just gonna sit up here and wait this one out.
Yeah, but with Rock already having a position high up on that leaderboard, now he goes to the finals and gives somebody else that one step closer to getting into that top 5. But only Zeke and our analysts could let us know what the leaderboards look like after 2 games.
My, oh my, here in Surge Week, NA is going wild. We are seeing aggression like I don't know if we've ever seen before. But for Jack and Qua, like I kind of hinted at, they're treating this like a grand finals, right? That's a grand finals strategy right there to get a victory royale.
Zeke, there's actually so much to unpack this game, right? You're calling it aggression. I'm going to go ahead and call it desperation. I think the level of play in this Surge Week lobby is really, really showing. Let's not forget that we already have 40 of the best teams not playing in this lobby right now. And I was looking at some of these 7th and 8th zone rotations, and there was like 3 teams that had 90+ builds. One of them, Clarity G and Casca. The other one, Thoric and Bolt. The third one, Qua and Jack. Those 3 teams have the experience to compete in these types of lobbies, and it is showing. That is why this team had so many heals to use, right? All these other teams are playing these rotations very, very desperately, looking for some of these very, like, just dire refreshes, where these other 3 teams just like, we're chilling on materials.
And I love that you say desperation, because that's what we saw at the very end there, using the kinetic blade to get down because he wasn't aware of how many heals. That's the one caveat of high ground, is that you aren't able to pick up all of the items that's dropped, where everyone else that's on the low ground has the opportunity to kind of scrounge up everything that everyone else has dropped. But congratulations to Jack and Qua right here. Can't wait to see how they do in the grand finals next week.
And man, there's just so many things that we have to talk about. As Jacob mentioned, now this duo has a victory royale. Those standings are going to shift up. Remember, whoever gets a victory royale, they're good. They're going to grand finals. They don't have to play anymore. That is going to open up the map, the standings. There's so much to break down here. My oh my, though, some of these eliminations we saw in this game, I think you might be right. It is a lot of desperation, right? When these players, the very tippy top, have their backs against the wall, they will make plays happen. Like Paper. This guy jumps up 34 places, Kelly.
And that is what we saw from that incredible elimination, being able to survive to the very end. And that's what we need. We need these desperate plays. They need to be playing like it's the grand finals because of stuff like that.
Yeah, let's not forget, like, I was looking at this duo as this end game was going on. I was like, oh my gosh, is this about to be back-to-back Shattered Slab victory royales? Like, who's going to be landing there in game number 3? Unfortunately, Paper just barely misses out on the heal up. But there's the shot right there that actually gave him a chance to compete with Jock, who just had so many heals. Look at that. Jock had around about like 40 HP left. So if he could have just found something, one men missed, he could have maybe actually won that game. But nonetheless, bumping up 34 placements, like Zeke mentioned, second place, poisoned themselves to get top 5.
Well, if we're talking about placements, we got to look at placement points, and there's one team that I'm looking at, and that is Casker and Clarity G with 128 points already, 40 points ahead of that 6th place spot. That's a good position to be in. However, we do obviously still have a few more games to go. Anything can happen in those games, so they shouldn't rest on their laurels just yet.
The big thing for me when it comes to this team is that each game so far, they've actually gone into the end game with a couple of eliminations. So they are quickly finding some refreshes before they get into those desperate situations. And I already mentioned it, so many of these teams are running around with like no materials, just going for like some crazy pump shots, trying to find anything. Like, for example, Scented and Favs, you know, they were based up just to the north of Mega City that game, looking for Storm Surge tags. But the whole time they were doing it, they had like 50 builds each. And I'm just like, when are you guys going to go find the materials? They never did. So they went for some, you know, crazy plays. Didn't end up working out for them.
Yeah, and once again, as we turn our attentions back to the standings, look how volatile this is, right? After game 1, Sprite was in first place, but now drops down because of everyone else trying to make plays. But Thork and Bolts, they've managed to hold on, at least for now, right? We only have a handful more games left to go, but they are doing what they need to do. They need to be playing consistently.
And there's that desperate play that I mentioned out of Scented and Favs, actually kind of donated over 2 eliminations to Thork and Bolts here. But I mentioned that they had so many materials, so much more than a lot of these other teams. Unfortunately, that play right there from Scented and Favs puts them in such a bad position. Unfortunately, you can see they never really fully recover when it comes to the HP, and Bolts actually ends up getting beamed out of the sky. If he had maybe 60 more HP, was fully healed up after that play, he maybe would have, you know, survived that rotate. But Thork, of course, clutching up some solo placement points, had so many materials like I mentioned. So shout out to him for gathering just those couple more points.
And that's what you need, especially in a position where you can look at his loadout. He doesn't have any splashes. Even his weapons aren't that great, so he's not going to go on the ultra aggression. Instead, he's going to try and survive as long as he can, stay on the edge of the circle so that you know that the front side is going to be where all the congestion is, and he did a great job making sure that he was just on the edge of it.
Yeah.
So wild, man. These games have been insane. So do we feel like that's going to be continually the trend? Maybe like desperation?
Yes.
Like the way these teams are playing after games 1 and games 2, like I feel like a lot of these teams don't necessarily know how to play these types of lobbies all that well. So I think we're gonna have a lot of those desperate plays, a lot of players to pick on for some of these more experienced duos.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get right back into the action because Surge Week is not disappointed. You guys ready? We're ready. Let's run it. This is game number 3.
Well, time flies when you're having fun, and already we find ourselves just approaching game 3 here. We are moments away from this big fight breaking down, and what an action-packed set of games we've already had. But remember, You have to win here. You have to put it all on the line.
Yeah, we've already seen two different teams win in two different ways, going to show that as long as you prepare, as long as you practice, set yourself up a blueprint, anything here is possible on the day.
Hey, man, and you know what? At the end of the day, we have quite literally seen just that. That last game was excellent, but we know there is so much more in front of us. Will Punisher be able to win his contested drop? It ended so quickly there before. We know also Mega City is one of the scariest places to be, but don't hold on for us. Let's get on the bus. I heard the horn. I know you did too. It's time.
This is it. The halfway point of the game. Of the day, I should say, game number 3.
That's right.
This is where teams, after this, depending on where you're positioned at the leaderboard, that win condition through top 5 slowly but surely slipping out the window, leaving you with no other choice but to get that big VR to end the day.
And that's right. If you are just tuning in, look at the action here. Sparrow Felix fighting it out. Sparrow finds the elimination. This is a change of pace and story for them. They absolutely needed this. Felix was taken out so early in the last game. They actually did not get to play it out. They were one of the first teams fully eliminated. And you know what? For Sparrow, I love the interview that we just had with him. Talk about a competitor spirit. Look at the fun he's having. And Felix, man, I have to give him so much credit. One of the few college students that also competes in Fortnite at the highest levels. And I know for a fact because he's on a short break here, but let's jump in. Costa in Punisher, my oh my. They're going for the 50-50.
Yep, from Sancho West to Nick at 30. Everybody's watching, rooting for a little bit of Punisher, but for Seer and Zyro from Mexico, they got a whole region on their side, and they're going to win the drop spot in terms of taking that high position on the game. Splash is already being used. You can see the Maven shotgun in hand, a shield keg as well. They're looted up and ready to fight this exchange out to the gates. Is costing down to 12 HP, but he's able to kinetic blade. He takes down Yasir without a weapon, but Punisher gets dropped as well. Cypher gets picked up, but the lightning only strikes once with him having nothing to work with. Zyro, he has to know it. He has to sense it. He's not going to continue to chase.
I mean, Jacob, what more can you ask for? What a turn of events there. Zyro Yasir beat them to the drop, and then the kinetic blade comes out, and he just shings him down with a couple big swings there. And now look, tempted by the shield bubble there. He's thinking about it. Barely anything to work with. The more time he gets to Zyro to situate himself, the less likely he is to make it out of here. He has to find a clean escape. But wait a second. Those duos are starting to look in now. We know there's a team there off in the distance. It's Disboy, it's Noodle. They're thinking about sliding on through. Zyro has to hit an exceptional shot, but no. There it is. He finishes up, makes it pretty quickly. Clean finish there onto Costa. But Noodle and Disboy, they're looking down here.
They only know so much. They have to be able to survive. The kinetic blade, the stagger. All his shields get drained off. Disboy just trying to immediately build on up.
Yeah.
And there goes another elimination. Zyro goes down. Yasir is down. Punisher, Costa, and now Kenjutsu's crossing is theirs for the taking.
It's crazy because that was worth putting it all on the line for. It was absolutely worth it. You know, so good in fact. Let's just watch it again. Take a look. Costa came through. 1, 2, 3, 4 swings. And then the finish in fashion. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. That's what Fortnite's all about.
Change the course of the game right there, because if he's able to survive, they're up as a duo with at least a fighting chance. Zajoc and Tayshawn just getting pressured from the high ground. 2 AM boys doing a good job of taking every advantage and trying to lead it to yet another advantage. Over on the other side, there's Jutraz and Broken, who's trying to break through the wall. He's controlling a fight like this is going to be important. Especially right out of the gates, fighting directly off spawn. You want to make sure that you get as much of this loot as possible. Flare gun going out. Position is going to be given up.
Looking good here, but the angle, he's playing the left camera and he's having super careful. Putting himself at a big disadvantage here from the low ground peek from Ajok. Days there waiting. It's been a hard day for them though, playing out of the Slappy Shorts position. Non-stop battles. Although they've had these clean 2-on-2s, you just always had another team looking on inward, trying to put their opinion on the matter when it's not being asked for. But hold up, Broken gets into the box. He's taking a full clean fight, and he gets the finish. And not only that, he gets to slide out and put himself in another spot to land the rest of the shots. And just like that, it's all over. Give him a dance as well.
I like that from Jutraz, though. Broken was in there putting a lot of the pressure. he made sure all those pieces were under their team's control. So even though it got broken down a few times, they had almost nothing to worry about. Frost and Let's not having the best day so far, but Surge Week, you just need to win and you're in. This could be big for Frost. He wants to make his first FNCS Finals appearance this season, but getting pushed farther back in his zone. Shields getting dropped. Luckily for them, it's not too far of a run before they reach the zone, but they definitely got their work cut out for him here.
Yep, all that matters. If you want to make a name for yourself, show up on the FNCS stage. Show up during Surge Week. Put up that performance, and you will absolutely be etched into history. Let's take a look here. Leaderboard, current points. Caster and Clarity lead with a huge margin of 28 over our second place Shadow and Paper. Shadow and Paper is playing so well today. And then it just gets super, super competitive for Defiable, Kinzo, Thor, and Coates. Of course, Acro and his duo.
Ooh, they got the capture point. But whether or not they knew if that duo was over towards the Citadel or not, well, they definitely know now. And that's why you see Sparebow just not breaking down the trees altogether. He doesn't want to give us position right away as he tries to reunite along with Felix. Neither one of these guys want to get surprised. It's a lot of damage that could go out in a single second from Fleury and Bobby towards the high ground. And since they're on the edge of zone towards the Citadel, any team towards the west side of the map should have to travel around this side of the map. So they definitely got themselves a nice position in towards the sky. But the Brutal Bastion Vault, one that so many teams are going to be fighting for game after game. Even if people qualify out of here, another team might begin to move in because it's such valuable loot to fight for.
Yeah, and this spot is like literally contested before this by two teams. Two teams land here, but now we have 4 teams in the general vicinity. They're rotating and even more in the distance. Aoxy has to put it all down here, and he finds one big tag, and it's enough to get the finish. Now, mind you, they get the Volt from it as well, so talk about the most crucial of eliminations there. That's going to yield the best payout here. Exactly what you need to stay in the business right now. But Diego with the surprise attack onto Curly. Curly gets a heal off, and you can hear the charge just cook. A nostalgic sound for me to see the charge in action.
I was scared there for a moment right there. Diego barely caught himself as he got tagged with that ODM gear. If he didn't build that ramp on the side of the mountain, he would definitely take a little bit more fall damage, forced to expend a lot more of those chug splashes. But since he didn't, you can see exactly what the plan is mine. Save the splashes for as long as possible. Scavenge any bit of loot, even if it's some fruits, some vegetables, as he pops the corn. And since he knows Curly and Nerf is right behind them, they can continue to stay 2-3 paces ahead, turn back for Surge any moment they want.
And I just want to talk about how great, not only of a duo as Casker and Clarity J as they're leading, but so is Scented and Fast. They've mixed up their playstyle. Last game they said, hey, we got safe zone, let's stick around Mega City, let's see what happens. It did not work out. Notice how they did not repeat that same course of action. They see a new game, they take a different approach. The best players are gonna find these moments to adapt from round to round. They will not make the same mistake more than once. Caster and Clarity, at this point, they've almost punched their way all the way through the finals, right? They just have to cruise, stay in the game, stay alive, and they should be okay.
Yeah, especially if you take note that a lot of the superstar teams have already placed inside of the top 40. They are in the FNCS Grand Finals, so it may take a few games, but in a lobby like this, especially with Surge Week, different formats and points for eliminations that makes it a little bit more worth the risk, it will change how it plays from the first game all the way to that very last game of the day, Shadow and Paper. They're not trying to go down anytime soon. They got that vault loot from Shattered Slabs, and they're trying to get themselves the best position in zone. With it continuously going towards the north with an eastern tilt, they know exactly where they want to set up at.
Ooh, investing some heavy metal here, so you know this is a big commitment right now. Tough to come across these big materials, but you want to go ahead and, of course, solidify the big loot. It's the only way to get it. Big shots coming out from the distance here now. But go for it. It's Mega and Snake up top. 9th place duo, 4th place duo down low. We have to tune in with current sitting 8th, who was, mind you, in first not too long ago. But they get dropped early, and look at how quickly they slide down the totem pole.
Just got to have that same confidence from game number 1. no matter what happens, because 88 points is still enough for a pop-off game. You could squeak into the top 5 at a moment's notice, especially for a team like Mars and Park. I think their biggest worry is staying mentally tough throughout a lot of what goes on through the day. Zeke and Maniac just trying to peek some shots through any nook, any crevice that they could find. They're going to use to their advantage. They have to be careful with no mobility on Zeke. Disengaging may not be the easiest thing if it comes down to it.
Well, listen, there isn't a single duo in this lobby that doesn't have a chance to go directly to finals. All of these fights just have so much significance and weight behind them for Pars and Mars. This is why they just sit here. They look. They try to time the opening. They say, hey, if you want to battle us, you're going to have to come towards us because I'm not going to take that initiative here. It's not worth it to me. They play nice and slow here. Pars and Mars now have to go ahead and just take what they can and escape out the side. They do have the zone, but we will be wary of whether or not they have the tags to back it up once the surge turns online.
Whether they have the tags or not for Storm Surge is another question for Sentin and Fabs. But when you look at their loadout right now, this is probably one of the best loadouts you're going to get from a team like this. Scratch, just so mobility would be the only thing that they're missing.
And I do find it incredible just how this is the second duo in the lobby. The second most total damage of any duo in the lobby. And they're so low in total points, but it just shows you Mega City is just a place of action. It's a zone of so many teams trying to fight one another, and it's costing all of them their points. So I love that Santin and Fabs are already out early. They land to get what they need, and now they're playing for endgame. They absolutely have to.
Especially with where they're currently at on the leaderboard. Might need a pop-off game, if not the BR itself. At least put yourself in contention for that top 5. Give yourself multiple win conditions and qualification conditions to kind of play through. Sure, you see all these weapon caches around, everybody just trying to gain and gather what is theirs. But with so many teams at the top of the leaderboard and the bottom of the leaderboard, that's going to dictate how they play. So Jenny, you're going to go ahead and break down where our teams lay and what they have on.
Thank you, Jacob. Yes, as we can see, Shore is staying a little bit on the outskirts of Storm, away from everybody, getting all of those metal materials, which is so important for endgame, as we see. We've seen just making sure that you are getting like every mat and every little bit. And we have Caster and Clarity, and they have over 100 builds, which is why we've seen them be such a top team. So they are just incredible.
Yeah, Caster and Clarendon, can't hype it up enough. And thank you, Jenny, for the breakdown, because it allows us to really get into a little bit of the insight right behind the scenes. Yeah, we talked about it. It's hard to find the material. You need the routes. And, you know, for some, they prepare. This is why you see the rise in folks just taking the time to VOD of you, sit back. I mean, shoot, find someone to coach you. Find a friend to sit by you and just help you out and start making decisions here. It can make the difference sometimes.
Yeah, from a loot path to a surge path, having every bit of your game plan, or at least kind of written down so you're not surprised at any turn, is going to be important. The capture point finally does come through. Widow and Madden position is going to be revealed. They're just trying to scavenge together any bit of loot that they have. Sprite and Giants think this is another opportunity, another chance for us. Last time we had these overclock pulse rifles, well, we finished second. Not exactly the placement we wanted in that game, but if first you don't succeed, you try again. And with that bit of loot in their hands, because they're also going to get some heals to work with, this is exactly where Sprite and Giants want to be.
Well, this is Fortnite. Anything can happen. Crazy engagements, big plays, and of course, life-changing moments. So it makes this so exciting. This is why we tune in to watch these competitors compete here. These are, of course, the remaining best few that will be punching their way to finals for next week's competition. But right now, the focus is here on Game 3. Plurk jumps right in, exposes himself face wide open to Snake and Mega. And Snake and Mega nearly did not hear him slide that close. That was danger on the horizon. But Plur's here now. What do you think about this? Taking the fight literally by himself.
It's definitely a brave attempt to go through.
Oh.
You can honestly see what he might have had in mind, especially the first time he kinetic blade up there. This could be a chance to go for a sneak attack, especially since it didn't necessarily look like Mega and Snake were paying attention. So I give him an A for the strategy overall, what he was thinking. But after that, he was just unable to execute, goes down. His B-Dog does look like he is a player that's kind of positioned high up on this mountain. You see him kind of looking around, trying to gather the information. You see what he has, that Shadow Tracer pistol. He also has the flare gun. For him, he's just trying to spot out where every single person is so he knows where to go next.
Now the flare gun's gonna give him the ease of mind there to go ahead and allow him to know, okay, I'm completely safe here. I'm still okay. Nothing to worry about. Let's jump in with Shore and Day, though. Here's a team, like we said before, completely contested. Last game, they finally break loose. They finally find themselves a bit of success. This game, they win the early game as well. They just convert 2 eliminations. Where did it all go right for them? Right here. Big open fires out in the open. That's exactly what they need right now. That's a confidence surge as well for them.
Wow, now that's a stat that honestly shows who the brawn is of this operation. On one, I called them one of the West's best box fighters for a reason. But it takes more than just mechanics, more than just skill. Paired with Zypha, they kind of complete each other. You know, the peanut butter and jelly, that brains and the brawn. And On1 has a lot of that experience on the international stage as well, so he knows when and where to adapt, when to switch up your strategy when things aren't working. As Felix does go down in the feed. Fortunate for them as their run comes to an end likely, because I didn't see a knock. It was just an elimination.
Yeah, that's right. It was just a finish there. Madden, though, last time we tuned in, he was up. Now it's just Widow. Widow, who we did see make an end game just moments ago in game 2, and now finds himself duo-less. Spotify, though, looks like he's got himself all types of issues here as well. He's below the surge. They're going to have to fight.
Easy trying to bulldoze into the box, but you can see their opponents are just trying to backtrack, play defensive.
Okay.
There's only so much that defensive play could do as they're immediately continuing to try to get that piece control. Cone's going to go down. Omizi's under pressure. Swexi's doing a good job. They split up. That was played almost perfectly right before our very eyes. 2 different doors, 2 different angles. They sealed the deal.
Jacob, it doesn't get any better than that for Omizi and Swexy. They just get to devour the loot here. They're close enough to the zone as well. It, honestly fixes their surge issue that they were about to have as well that was approaching there. And now Zypha realizes, uh-oh, there's a duo in here. Get on over here, On1. I think we found a team to fight.
Kind of see Zypha immediately saw that there was a duo under him. There was a duo across from him. He's just trying to separate himself from everybody else. As Omizi trying to do the same, but unfortunate for him, he gets tagged up along the way. That's the risk. That's the reward that we kind of talk about when it comes to ODM and the kinetic blades and just trying to zoom your way from one point to another. But the kind of fan favorite, the story that everybody is watching this weekend, Scented and Fab, to see if they're going to continue that miracle run. Without the first 2 games so far, only 12 points. They're not quite positioned exactly where they want them to be, but it was in that last game of week 3 that Favs clutched up to keep their hope alive, got the reboot on Descented, and eventually got top 10 to qualify just this far.
So crazy to think they put their back to the indestructible reboot van as well. It's not like they needed the pickup. They said, hey, let's just protect this angle from ourselves. So just little plays like that. Scented, one of the kings of positioning. Just so good. Curly and Nerf now, though. They've had a hard time so far. Below the surge. Find some tags to keep them alive for a little longer. Can he get a finish? No. It doesn't happen. The surge claims another one here in game number 3. Remember, there's only 5 games. Today's a short day for us, but what feels like probably a daunting, long day for the players.
Yeah, double pressure here on the day because it's not just playing from 1 week to week 2 to week 3. This is your season on the line, continuing that journey. And on the other side of the major as well, 3 open spots from NA are going to go straight to that global championship at the end of the year. So it's money, it's fame, it's glory, it's bragging rights that everybody's fighting for here on Surge Week. 84 points for Static and Wavy Jacob. It's exactly what a lot of these teams, consistency overall. You can have a pop-off game at any moment, but you cannot put yourself into a hole to where the pop-up game does not mean anything.
That's right. The reality is, this is an easier stage of competition. It's only going to get harder once you get to the final settings. And you're going up against the rest that have already pushed through. for Wavy Jacob, Static. Can they see themselves sitting amongst that top 50? They're fighting their way through there. They have 45 damage just above the Surge. How did they find themselves in this successful position for Snake and Mega, though? Look at this. Slide on through. This is why you protect every nook and cranny. You never want a Snake to crawl their way through the grass and find a moment's chance there. They will bite.
8 more points, but no placement. Still into our top 29. So with all the action that we've seen up until this point, can you believe we haven't even got into that top 25 where a lot of those placement points are still up for grabs? As we tune into Favs and Scented yet again, pressure from so many other angles. And I like this decision. Instead of just popping 2 minis and not being to full HP and shield, he sacrificed the last of his legendary slurp juices to make sure he has a fighting chance in the rest of this game.
That's a win condition. They toss it out the window to play for right now. They're 30 below the Surge. It's a fight that means everything. Liam is looking well, but Jitter's stuck in the box by himself. They box him up, cone him down, grab the wall as well, and Favs is playing super cautious here as he manages to slip away. But hey, they find the tags that they need. They don't do too much to overcommit there and potentially throw the game. Instead, they need to wait this one out a little bit. Let the lobby cut down a bit. It might just get a little bit easier for them, and they allow them to come straight to them, and Favs just makes it look so easy.
From 0 slurp juices to 2, all the loot they found as well, and the damage most importantly when it comes to that Storm Surge. Sensitive Favs do it again, keep themselves alive, but Mega and Snake are right above. They're another team. You saw them take out a few players early on up until this point, 94 points overall. They're trying to get themselves into that top 5 and hold their position there, so that way it doesn't come down to just the VR.
Well, they do have the Kinetic Blade there. Will be just fine for this first rotate. But the map's about halfway through now, getting tagged as well on the rotate, so really tough spot to be in. Of course, this ice is also slippery, right? It's not the best spot to be in by any means. He's also not safe just yet.
He's just staggering himself, letting those Kinetic Blade charges recharge, so that way he can make the journey that much easier, a little bit more smooth. You can see Snake pass on over the slurp juice. He needs it just a little bit more. You see the plays being played over and over in their mind. And with Jackson going down, D-Roller has to make that decision. Do I peek? Do I try to be a hero? Do I try to get my teammate back? Because now the focus is all on me. And right now he's just trying to build more real estate to work with. So that way when the pressure comes in, he has the builds to shield himself. This could be a high-risk, high-reward play if he goes for the revive. And now he has to try to abandon it with the pressure on the other side.
Oh, he's going to stick it out. He's got a chance here. 20 seconds. If he sticks it right now, it'll be okay. But no. He does fall. It looks like the Surge is completely active. They're one of the few duos that are just below. Aoxy gets rewarded with the credit at the elimination. Take a look at the flares scouting out from up above. It's Sprite. It's Giant here. They're chilling. Nothing to worry about, and all the time in the world to size up the lobby, right? I think players and everyone takes for granted how important this information gathering is here when you don't have anyone shooting back at you and everyone's focused on their rotate. They're able to really just soak it all in and prioritize the best positions possible. This is why they have high ground for virtually free.
Yeah, you see one of them being held back as well, just trying to make sure nobody sneaks their way up. Fiavo and Kinzo, no heals. They're just trying to make it from point A to point B. They have the materials as long as they can keep their HP intact. Kinzo falls just a little bit too far behind. Defiable's waiting, staggering himself to try to be the hero for his team.
Well, Bolts is turned online. Scented is as well, too. Big names are still alive here in this game. Defiable is below the Surge, though, and the clock is ticking just a moment away before things really start to do big damage. Here's Bolts by himself. Where's Thoric? Nowhere to be found, but he's got all the material in the world. He's got a win condition waiting to happen here, and that's off the backs of those big elims. Now look at Favs here, trying to catch anybody, trying to see if someone can slip their way into their box here for this another refresh for them.
See them passing around the material as well for Fabs. Kinzo gets dropped. Defiable with no heals is now left as a solo. Luckily for him, he still has some material to work with. Looks towards the backside, spots out Shore, unable to deal any damage though. But for him, it's about finding somebody to get close. He has that Mythic Havoc pump. One-shot potential with Fabs down. It's all up to Scented here. And Fabs and Scented go down yet again as Mega picks up elimination onto Shadow.
Well, there's several teams inside the top 10 right now fighting for these placement points here, fighting for as much as they can use to get inside that top 5, and this is it here. Paper is another solo here, faced with no elims at all. How is he still holding on here? He does have some metal though, so did conserve just enough. What matters most, Bolts here again on the front side of zone, burning through that material there, just trying to stay alive. Look at this. Gets boxed up, slips out though, and now has to heal. Can he find a moment to save himself? Look at the layer changes. Bolt's showing us why he is an FNCS champ. Why is just that good?
He said, Thor, you did enough last game as a solo. Now it's my turn with the pressure on. Casker's Clarity, they're trying to get to the front side. Not a ton of materials on Acro and User. They're forced into this exchange. One of them's going to get dropped. User has no time. He gets lost to the backside of zone. Bolt is still going on a run. Another elimination is going to be found on Anoxi, giving him enough time to pop that slurp juice. The Siphon's going to go through as well. He has more than enough materials, but it's the heals that he doesn't have. He has triple havocs instead.
He doesn't need it. The Siphon's keeping him alive. The slurp juice is still ticking. It's everything that he needs to have max HP and just rack up the eliminations. Saucy, Edward, he's got a player in front of him, but he doesn't want to make the peek about his teammate, and someone slips in. This is why wood tarps are so dangerous. Anyone can find their way through. Saucy's by himself now, and things slow down. He's thinking about it. Goes for a tag, and it's not enough. It's Bolts. He's still going.
174 points. One of two solos left in the game. He looks down, he sees the duo there. Not one of what he going after. But wait, there goes another one. A huge find as he takes him down, but he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Sprite and Giants high ground with the overclock. He drops down low. This is the fight that he wants, and a huge shot is going to be fired on the Snake. Mega and him trying to back up. The pressure on the high ground.
This
a huge shot by Bolts.
Even though he doesn't finish it off, oh my gosh, he just shows us exactly how good he is, why he is champion caliber. And Sprites and Giant now have basically a clean escape here, all because Bolts just laid waste to the lobby. But Giants and Sprites, hey, they find themselves in the finals.
That looked like a rerun, but nope, it was a brand new episode. They learned from their mistakes in game number 1. They realized the timing wasn't there for the heal off. They didn't time it perfectly to go down and get the eliminations. They have taken over this game with those pulse rifles, forcing player after player, team after team, down to the low ground, into all that chaos, expending all the material. Snake, he couldn't even climb up.
Man, if you blink, you missed it. Giants and Sprite were just chilling, probably watching the feed there, licking their lips and rubbing their hands together like, dude, we got it, man. Bolts turned up, and now they go straight to finals.
Yeah, you got to imagine Bolts. Got to put him somewhere, maybe into the top 5, maybe into the top 3, but for Sprite and Giants, they get to watch the rest of this one calm, cool, and collected, because they earned themselves a ticket into the finals.
That's right. Well, listen, that's game 3. It's done. It's dusted.
I don't even know what to say. Like, I feel like for Giants and Sprite, they're like, okay, man, hey, you have all the mats, you got all this. They're just hearing shots like, yeah, we're ready. We're good. We win.
Yeah, I mean, when you got Bolts just running throughout the entire lobby as a solo, I mean, shout out to him, because the big question at the start was, hey, listen, can they repeat their title performance? And so far, I mean, if they keep playing like that, it's not even like if they keep playing like that. They've had solo performances in both games 2 and 3, and it's just been so good. But I want to go ahead and point out Sprite and Giants, because the strategy for this, though, has been very, very clear. Go get the pulse rifles.
Yep. Yeah, we've seen them now have it several times, and we've only had 3 games, so that's a pretty good percentage of being able to claim that pulse rifle there. And you can see they really weren't taking too many shots once we did reach that 12th zone, because all of the action was happening on that low ground, hidden from everyone else. And I love what Sprite does here. He hides a little bit, but also gets a little bit of visibility while he's healing himself, just in case the teams that were on the low ground were able to grab those heals. But once again, Bolts. Usually when we see a player go down to the solos, they play a lot more passively. But what Bolts did is that he had no heals. So he knew the only way to be able to regain those heals was to get the siphons. So he said, you know what? I'm not going to play passively. I'm going to go W key. And it worked out so well for him.
Absolutely wild. Remember, this was the duo that fell out of the top 5. Remember? We talked about them before. They say, we don't need a top 5. Let's just get a victory out and go straight to grand finals. But we take a look at our standings. Remember, we're trying to play for consistency. We want to end the day in the top 5 or get ourselves a victory royale. Casker and Clarity G, they're still holding on, at least for now, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, 196 points. They've had a consistent performance every single game. They keep putting up eliminations. They keep putting up placement points, and they keep finding the eliminations before the end game. As you can see right here, you might be like, whoa, like, what are you guys doing? The moving zone is coming in, still going for the shots, finding the eliminations. And again, this is one of those experienced duos that are actually in this lobby right now. they're just making it look easy.
I mean, when you have a loadout like that, where you have legendary weapons, you have all the heals that you could possibly need, you don't really need to do anything too crazy or too different. You just need to play clean, smart Fortnite, and that's exactly what we saw out of this duo right here.
And every single game, they're making sure in the early game they have so many materials. They're getting so much storm surge damage in those early zones as well. There's not very many people landing with them on the southeast side of the map, but they are just bullying the teams that actually are landing down there, getting so much damage done. Their strategy so far, working out flawlessly.
All right, I'm so excited. We actually get to watch the Bolts highlight right now because it was one of my favorite highlights of all of Major 2 so far. I don't think I've ever seen someone with the solo run be so successful in their aggression, Vivid.
Look at him flaunting as well, right? He's got the FNCS pickaxe on while he is just dominating this Surge Week. He's letting everybody know, hey, listen, I may be in Surge Week, but I don't necessarily deserve to be 7 eliminations. That 200 pump that he just hit almost followed it up as well. That other player only had 11 HP. One more bullet, he would have found that double elimination.
And just to contextualize this maybe even a little more, though we had like a crazy run out of Bolts, just look, Casker and Clarity, they're still holding that lead, right? So though we're seeing some really high-end, high-quality performances, there's still other duos doing the same thing. We just may not catch it in the moment. Mega and Snake as well. I feel like we've just been on these guys all game long, right? We keep jumping in. They're finding eliminations. They're finding these ways. Again, treating it like a grand finals. Now, of course, we do want to put this on pause for a moment because guess what? We have an interview. We're going to talk to none other than FaZe Replays. What is going on? Wow, Replays. It's good to see you, man. How you doing?
It's good to see you too. I'm doing amazing. You know, just having fun watching FNCS today. Can't complain. Can't complain at all.
I love to see it. Replays. I mean, you're a zero build king. You know, you're out here watching these games. How are you feeling about Major number 2? How's NA shaping up for you right now?
Man, the games are so intense. Like I haven't been like this, you know, like locked into just like viewing in a very long time. So the players are doing an amazing job, you know, giving an amazing experience for the viewers. So shout out to the players for doing that.
Nice. And of course, Replays, you know, we got to see you at the FNCS Invitational, that last in-person event. These majors are all about making it to globals. Let us know, like, kind of like what the vibes and what it means for players to kind of make it to those type of events.
Man, you know, like just being here right now in Surge Week, like these players are showing that, you know, they have a lot of talent. So even advancing to another round shows even more, man. They have a lot of potential. So I just want to, you know, give good luck to all the players around, and I hope the best for all of them in these next 2 games.
Well, we've had some incredible plays so far in Surge Week, but have you had a favorite moment out of the 3 games we've watched?
Man, there's like so much. I can't even like, I know there's so much going on. I can't even think like of one right now. Maybe, I actually can't think of one. I can't. There's been so much going on. I actually can't. I'm sorry.
It's all good, man. I'm telling you, it's
players
crazy.
are doing their job. They're doing their job. I'll say that.
Absolutely. Replays, where can the fans out there find you?
You can find me on Replays on all social medias, FaZe Replays on YouTube, and yeah.
Absolutely. Replays. One more thing. I need you to go find Nick 830, and he's been talking about bringing the Infinity Blade back. I need you to go set him right, okay? I need you to go set him right, Replays, for me.
I'll have a talk with him. Sounds good. I'll have a talk with him.
Thanks for hanging out, Replays. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, yes.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Well, listen, we still have a competition. Okay, we still have 2 more games to go. Victory Royale, ending the day in the top 5. What are you hoping to see?
More of what we just saw from Bolts, man. I want to see some solo clutches. It's some of my favorite part of Fortnite, and a lot of these players are the top echelon of players, so if anyone's going to pull out some solo plays, it's these guys right here, especially in the final 2 games.
So far, I feel like a lot of the teams that are kind of hovering around the top 5 have been the ones that are getting these victory royales. I want to see one of those like bottom teams win out in one of these last couple games, make that run happen.
Let's get ready then. You heard what these guys want. Or you guys want some more action? I want more games. I don't know that I can take, my little heart can take the next 2, but I'm ready for it. Action right here, right now. This is the FNCS.
With 3 games down, there's still 2 games left to go, and those are the last chances for our teams to try to punch their ticket to the FNCS Grand Finals. And Bolts and Thorg, they have to be that hot team right now that everybody's looking for to win through either a VR or a top 5.
Hey, if you wasn't a fan before, I'm sure you're a fan now because they've turned online in and the potential is here. But hey, I heard the battle bus. I know you did too. Let's start loading up, Jacob. Let's start taking a look. Who will set themselves up here in Game 4? Every single round we've seen so far, it's given us so much excitement, so much to look forward to, conversation points to start feeling out. And what I want to talk about is this whole idea. When a team wins, they leave the lobby. Things become a little bit simpler. But if your team, like these guys right here, has been landing on over and over, I mean, you're putting everything on live. Oh my gosh.
That Siphon I thought was going to save him. Zyro was just trying to make a run, but Punisher on the tail end just takes him down by tagging him up in his Achilles heel. Punisher and Costa now, the victors of Kenjutsu Crossing, and have the best chance to take it overall, but a switch up of drop spots, Scented and Fabs, they want their racetrack back.
Hey, I like this. I like that they're saying, you know what, we're not just gonna fold over and give you the drop. I'm gonna go back to this trusted, true place that we know. Mega City is just a little too hot for us. 4 teams are there. Like, why will we even try to play that out? We have better odds against just another, and that's what they end up doing here.
Fairborn and Felix, business as usual for them. Elimination each. And that's Diminish who went down along with Sid. Go ahead and check how they're able to quickly go grab that one. It's just out-dropped and outclassed by Sparebro, taking down Sid. Felix had the high ground and the pressure from the other angle. Easy for them at a drop spot they hope to hold into finals.
That's right. It's a great position to, of course, be the kings of. Here's Pars and Mars. I mean, we saw what they've been able to do so far. Definitely sneaking their way into those mid-game positions, but getting past that truly has been a hurdle for them. For Costa and Punisher, if they've been paying attention to every round that they've survived, they realize that the other duo, Needle, has been sliding on up and trying to take these fights. Hold up. On over to Acro's team, up against Shadow and Paper. It's a 2v1, but we know that anything is possible. Things can change pretty quickly here, especially when your teammate does not have shield, so Paper needs to continue to just reset here, get back in the game.
And even though they're able to get an elimination on Acro, the user just probably got the card, trying to make his way out.
It's Coexian Butterfly.
Costa just sees this one coming. Coxie probably thinks he's safe. Did he spot the top side of his head? And there goes Costa trying to make the play. First shot's going to be landed. Not a ton, but it's something for Costa to continue to try to put pressure on. Different angles coming through. Pressure and Costa playing like they want it all here. And this could be a big game. They could qualify off this one or put themselves in contention of that top 5. They just have to keep the same tempo. They already got 3 eliminations right out of the gate with 2 more in Noodle and Dizboy sneaking on up.
Now, last game, Noodle and Dizboy, of course, found the previous duo alive in the same situation. They sneak up just like this, but this time Dizboy gets boxed up, put on a defensive position here, tagged first before he can actually find his exchange, and a great tag from the low ground there. Punisher is extremely hurt. Both sides down to just a single tag here now.
Already just under pressure, he's just trying to find a moment, stabilize himself, pop the minis, big pot as well. As Noodle's immediately trying to disengage as well. They find safety here in numbers. For Costa and Punisher, the choice is definitely theirs. Do you disengage? Do you try to hold on to this position? I think with Botify slowly but surely sneaking up, they knew Coxie was already there. They're just trying to play the rest of their game out as a team. Let them fight it out, and we'll come and clean up the scraps.
That's right. They have the extra bits of information here, and with that, the advantage to make the first decision. They split up left and right. Coxie makes it out the side. Punisher and Costa live to see another day. Jitterfy is there, though, nearby. Take a look here. We get to jump in with Mars OW, who ends up finishing up a contested fight up north. Now, remember, they land, and they have all the time in the world to loot up, but it just seems like everyone nearby, all these neighbors, are not so friendly.
Yeah, it's these split drops towards the north side of the map. They feel like there's just not enough loot to kind of split between the two. You see, Mars doing all he can before going down, but Mars seals the deal, finishes his job, and that's great because it gives you the confidence that you can rely on your teammate at any turn. There's Paper and Shadow once again. A little bit more contested Sword Shadow slabs than we've expected, but definitely worth noting that they've kind of had that vault in every single game, which they're using to put themselves high up on the leaderboard. They want to give themselves consistency throughout the next couple of games, so they have less and less to worry about. But for Scented and Fabs, the huge switch up for them was because Sprite They went ahead and qualified themselves on out, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw it on over to Kelly so she can let us know exactly how this came to fruition.
Thank you so much, Jacob. You guys heard me say it earlier. I'm going to say it again. Adapting is the name of the game in Surge Week. And with Sprite's team already grabbing the VR and moving from Racetrack, it's one of our top teams, Fav and Scented, dropping from North Mega City and now switching up back to Racetrack to grab that spot and see how it turns out for them in this game.
Makes a lot of sense. You literally need to change your game plan. We talked about it. Mega City, highly contested. Why land there? Why, you know, risk all the odds when you can just go ahead and go back to the true and trusted stuff? That's what happens, man. The dynamics of the games are going to change here in Surge Week. And it's only going to happen like this, literally, in Surge Week. Once we start gearing up for finals, you're going to see teams, you know, make a decision, most likely stick with it. Very rarely do they end up making any adjustments at that point moving forward. So, Wavy Jacob, we've managed to follow his story for quite some time. They're doing pretty decent so far. Couple rounds though, right? 2 big games right here can change anyone's situation. Like, look at Costa and Punisher. They really only had game 1 where they just broke away, did so well, and then lost the top spot in the last 2 games. But look, they're still inside the top 15.
For them, kind of returning to hear that reboot going off into the distance. They see that as a sign of weakness over on the other side, but there's 2 teams fighting over on that side of the map as Punisher's actually going to go ahead and get the knock on to Coasty yet again. It's definitely theirs for the taking, but it's going to be up to them if they decide to do so. They still have that capture point over towards Genjutsu Crossing. They have the bounty board there as well, and they have a 3rd or 4th team looming into the distance over on this side of the map, so I do like their decision just to hold height.
Noodle gets the full Elin there, gets to pick up the mats, but of course not the credit for the elimination, as you do need to get the knock in order to get that reward. Just like that, Noodle and Dizboy still stick around here, showcasing that, hey, they're a contender to play here too.
Talk about contenders. Dork and Bolt's championship material. They already got 1 FNCS under their belt. In this day alone, they both have solo clutches for a massive amount of points. Thork did it first. Bolt's had probably one of the most hyped plays of the day so far here.
Bolt's put up a single game record with 72 solo impact points in game 3. Really, you need to wrap your head around that statistic for a second. What this means is by himself, he pulled in 72 points. That was why we were so excited that last game, casting over how he was just rampaging through that endgame.
Shot after shot, just
wow.
Feel the pressure on a lot of the players, using the flare to go ahead and try to get information on everybody that is coming closer and closer to their frenzied fields. Slacks and Nut over towards Anvil. They have their plan set out. Nut's just kind of scavenging all the loot here towards the low ground, farm up everything that he can. Meanwhile, Slacks has that skyscraper on top of the castle that they're using to try to have as much surge as possible. As the zone pulls in again, they're trying to be one of the first teams there, so they can try to do that once more. Grab one of these mountaintops and try to build a box on top. That way they can try to get surge tags yet again. They know it's not something that you do in just one moment. You have to do it throughout the course of the game.
Tough to think Slacks and Nut really haven't even been able to pick up a point yet. It's showing you how difficult even Surge Week can be. Such an experienced team, one that, of course, is written on the list of teams that can absolutely pull through with a win. And that's the exciting part about Surge Week. Who cares how many total points you got? Maybe that is a win condition for you. Maybe that is a finals condition for you. But at the end of the day, every game still matters because a win will send you right on through to the finals.
Already seen so many times in history alone that a team can qualify from Surge Week and win the FNCS title overall. Liam and Jitter, they're trying to start their run here with 72 points. They know it's not where they want to be in terms of the top 5 on the leaderboard, but if they are going to pick up the pace, it comes at finding a weapon cache just like this. They went ahead and activated it rather quickly to keep the legendary loot intact and all those heals, so they're trying to get themselves the best chances possible going from mid-game into the end game.
Now, Duke and Run, you see that 19, it just says that, yeah, they're over on 19, but subtract the teams that qualified, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're a lot closer than it may seem when you're bubbling around this top 15 situation right here. Like, you are just one great game away from being inside the next most consistent duos that can go directly to finals. So play well, you're there. Win a game, you're there.
5 shield just like that. Shore landed some great shots. Early on in this season, I kind of felt this was the resurgence of Day, the FNCS champion of past. I still think he has it in him to have those pop-off games, but in order to get into that top 5, it might take at least one of these next 2 to be a pop-off performance. But for Casker and Clarity, 196 points so far. For them, they have the luxury of having a little bit more patience, a little bit more calm, cool, collected style of gameplay.
And they're so just consistent. So consistent. Even in grand finals, many top 10 performances and appearances for them. But hold up, Aoxy and Swirl eyeing up the duo. They have no idea they're there, and they come out. They get tagged, but they miss that first tag, but it doesn't matter. Swirl's there to go ahead and follow up. He gets to hunt him down. No, he actually doesn't even get to get the full finish. There it is. It finally comes. It comes in a little late, and at what cost? The cost of a couple heals, but look, the reward is huge. Yeah, so what? They throw a keg down. They earned another one back. Even more shields, of course, and the refresh, which they absolutely needed. Material count there was only 65 builds. And now on over to Day and A. Really hard position for the Slappy Shores duos here. I don't think we have a single Slappy Shores duo that has really had a breakaway performance, really showing that everyone here is just about evenly matched. Take a look at Jutras and Broken here.
Yeah,
they're the one. They're the one exception.
It wasn't necessarily all in one performance, though.
No.
It was throughout the last 3 games, consistent as could be. A couple pop moments here and there as well. But Slappy Shores is going to be in the zone as it pulled on over to this side of the map, and that's where you see a lot of teams beginning to congregate in this position. So it almost leads to believe if you don't have your surge at this stage in the game, this might be a blessing in disguise. But with Rift Island appearing, you're seeing everybody daring enough to even go for it in this position. Shadow and Paper is going to be one of the 2 teams fighting for it right out of the gates.
They go straight to the top. ODM gear to swing on over. They want to be the ones to go in and solidify it. Yeah, there it is. Secure. The loot distributor there, and we're going to be able to hang out.
Got to be careful for the players that are in the distance. They were the ones tagging up Paper, trying to be a little bit of annoyance. But for them, it's their plan for that surge overall, as Paper and Shadow looking like they're going to claim all this loot. The overclock pulse rifles, the extra heals, which makes it that much easier for Paper to kind of justify using that Slurp Juice very early on.
Big fan of Aoxy and Swirl's continued positioning and style of play here. Hiding behind the same wall. Hey, if it worked once, it'll work twice, right?
Usually. Sometimes. Maybe. They just on the outskirts of Brittle Bastion. Salty has to know that somebody is nearby, just doesn't know exactly where everyone is positioned. You see right in front, there's still 2 more teams there, a little bit towards the right, 2 more teams there. There's 5.5 teams in this close proximity of Brutal Bastion on the edge of the zone that still have to travel even further forward.
Well, we have 3 excellent weeks of FNCS competition before leading into this Surge week here. Now we're approaching the end of Game 4. Is just moments away. Things are gonna get real crazy now. But hold up, let's jump back in. Paper's down. The story changes here. The narrative adjusted. Shadow's left by himself. What went wrong? It looks like a lot of teams want these rifles.
Yep. They're seeing what Sprite and Giants was able to do with them last game with the high ground. They won it overall, so people are saying, why not us? Why can't we make a fight for it? Even Evo and Salco have that position towards the high ground, looking on over everybody else. Some teams are going to be fighting for this loot. Others are just be fighting for damage and scraps that get left behind because they don't want to risk it. But 17 below, for Evo and Salco, they have to risk something to land even a shot into the distance, a close-range havoc, anything at this stage in the game.
I'm more surprised they're going to go for tags here when they realize there's a solo and just a duo right nearby that had fresh, weakened builds based off of their edits. The passive play might not work out, might actually force them into a much more peculiar situation. Give it a couple moments though, let's see what conjures up from it. And there it is, expending, using the heals here to stay alive. When they just had a moment, they just had an opportunity to turn up and push that duo.
It's very crucial that they don't let their shields get popped overall. Because right now, nobody knows the struggles that they're going through until that audio cue does give up. There's Noisy and Siren on the other side. They're trying to take advantage of a displaced player, but immediately tries to disengage, reposition himself, and that's going to be the green light for Salco and Evo. With all that action going down, they're trying to go ahead and use that as a way to get the damage that they need for Surge. Whether they got it or not, that's going to be another question because it shuts down altogether, but just for now.
And it's not just this pocket, not just this island that's having a fight. Punisher gets knocked. Costa gets the exchange and the revenge back onto Coexi. So other big teams are also having a struggle right now. Big fights are breaking out everywhere. For Evo and Salco, though, they have slipped back under. They jumped up. They slipped under. It's a back and forth here. Everyone's fighting, and they slip away now into the storm as they play passively here, trying to find any tag. You know they're going to look back at this moment and say, man, I missed these shots when it mattered most. And he could not connect. Oh, man, it's only getting tougher from here on out.
Yeah, now they have to worry about not only going for that surge, but rotating with a lot of these other teams as well. You called it out yourself. Punisher in the feed did go down. It's all left up to Costa, who wastes no time. He realized zone pushing in. This is my opportunity, now or never, to get my teammate back, while so many other teams have already made their journey to zone.
And they picked up 6 eliminations. Keep in mind, this is the team that was popping off in game 1 with Elims. They lose game 2, lose game 3 on the drop, come back game 4 with a vengeance, with the wrath like we haven't seen any other duo keep before. They have 6 successful eliminations. Who would have thought the NA West boys had it like that?
They're just trying to position themselves on the leaderboard to have a different variant game number 6 if it does come down to it. Right now, as we get into this game earlier on, it was 136 points, where that 5th splayed threshold it actually is at. The Shadow's getting paper back. This is going to be a huge one for them in their game. And look at him. He was able to escape with at least one of the 2 overclocked pulse rifles for them. This is a huge success.
That's right. And what's left, the remnants of the Volt there too. Look at that. It's going to yield out everything they need. They're back in the game like they never left. And what a change. What an eventful story for them. Here comes the half-half. Pops here. Of course, the adjustments here in Zone 6 is much larger than what it used to be. It's going to really force players to get nice and close, but let's catch up. Let's see, how did the story unfold for Siren here? They were below the surge by 185. It pops off here, and they say, we got to get in and take the battle. They do just that. Put some respect on Siren and Noisy here. They're here to fight, and they finally earned themselves a couple of big points here. And that could be the difference there. This could be the juice, the battery, and the pack to let them know we can play this endgame out, man. We can get a dub here. They need it.
Yeah, they need Surge as well. 89 above. They're not feeling confident when it comes to that. Where they're positioned, using the Shadow Trace to try to land a couple of shots. Putting themselves just a little bit more above that threshold as Nosh now under pressure. Turtle's there to try to play defensively and hold on to his builds. Siren doesn't like it as third-party shots begin to come in. He immediately repositions, disengages, and tries to get ahead of all the chaos. So that way, it makes his job that much easier in terms of survival.
It's wild. He's looking for his teammate, and he didn't even realize Nosh was literally in the bush that he slid right by. Turtle Tavern there just on the heels as well. We saw the interview with Tavern. A true competitor at heart. He's been talking about how he wants to really show people what he's got, what he's made of. He thinks he's better than the numbers he's put up in recent times. For Snake and Mega, one of the highest point-earning duos in the lobby, currently alive, chipping away slowly at that finals position.
Flashes, anything that they can, just trying to break through. Look towards the backside of zone. Is this loot worth taking damage for going to get? I think the answer is going to be no, as they immediately turn around and try to gather the information of where these players are going to be. From one hero player to another, Costa early on in the game got Punisher back into this one. But now Punisher lost Costa, so now he has to do it by himself. And it may not necessarily be for the VR that Punisher is playing for. It's to put himself in a position to where in that last game of the day, they have a shot at getting into the top 5 if VR doesn't come to fruition.
That's right, and this is so desperate by Punisher. Literally farming walls right now to get anything possible. And the fact that he gets spotted out there sets him back. Not only a tag, but the mats he just farmed. That tower does not yield much. A very difficult spot to be in. Zypha. Oh, well, hello there. We tune in with you. He just slides up, puts himself right on the edge of zone here, trying to fight out the gate. Nosh body there. Won the exchange. Hello, Nosh. the full convert.
I like how Turtle immediately had to abandon. He said, if I try to be a hero, if I try to go back for any of that loot, it'll cost us everything, our whole game, and leaving it down to our 5th and final one on the day, which allows for Zypher and Almond to scavenge all of that loot, get themselves above the position in which they were at before. And you can see Snake and Mega, any opportunity these guys got, they'll take it. They're down on Surge. They immediately try to focus on the player in the lobby, and that's going to be Clarity. Caskers go down.
Now, this is huge, right? That's our 3rd place, most consistent team, taking out the 2nd place, or our previous 1st, actually, most consistent that early. So for Clarity and Casker, if they had a coast, if they were coasting, if they were cruising their way to a top 5, maybe it's not going to be that simple anymore, as they have fallen much sooner than they would have liked there, and they didn't have that many eliminations. Keep in mind, this is a very zero-sum game for them. They've earned just a few places points.
This is huge. This is a huge moment because we have 1st place is out, 2nd place is out, 4th and 5th are out, 6th and 7th. Add that to the list of players watching from the lobby. For Mega and Snake, this is a huge moment here to pick up as many points as possible. Put yourself further up that leaderboard, so even if you don't manifest at VR, you put yourself in a position where you just need an average game going into the last one.
And for Cardi and Patek as well, they can finally have a breakaway moment here. Is Punisher still alive is the question too. Take a look. Where is Punisher? Remember, he was a solo. He had 100 builds. He just might have been taken out on that last push as well. He's one of the few bubble teams that tried to go in and slide in.
Yep, they go down. I know it's a lot of shifting still going in the game. About 16th place as it currently stands, but into the top 21 we go. There's still a ton, a massive amount of placement points still up for grabs. And then the biggest note that I've been talking about is the change of points per elimination. Weeks 1 through 3, it was 2 points per. In this Surge week, it's 4 points per elimination, which allows for these players for that high risk, high reward style of play if they're daring enough to go for it, like Sparebow and Felix looking like they're going to try to be one of the first teams to claim any bit of height in this lobby.
3 Elans as well. Huge game here. Can they make this miraculous comeback for placement points? Probably not. That most likely out the window, so they're trying to poise themselves up for a win. If there's a player that can never do it, it's him. But Mega here. Mega's got a completely different story. They just got to stay up. They just have to keep earning.
Everybody outside of the top 5 right now, this is their gift. Mega goes down because it opens up the leaderboard wide open. If he drops, teams 1 through 8 are sent back to the lobby, so there's a lot of pressure on as he ODMs past everybody else, builds himself up a couple of layers. He knows how chaotic that low ground is, but the material's running dry. So are the timing that Mega's given himself.
And just like that, 300 material, gone. That's how quickly you can lose all those mats. Just trying to tarp your way through, find yourself safe, but it's not that easy. Zypher on one so hurt here. No teammate nearby him. He does get a little bit of a big heal up, but no, there goes the knock body. He wants to get on top of him. Sparebow loses Felix on the high ground. Another team is desperate here. This is what Game 4 of Surge Week is all about. It's Nexi there who boxed him up, and Sparebow now has to give up high ground. Sent down low, loses the layer to Nexi and crew, who timed the retake.
Meanwhile, Mega finding every nook and cranny, crevice to use towards his own to skate past everybody else. Now Zypher's gonna have to take a page out of that playbook, using the bush because he has 1 build left to his name, but 3 charges of the kinetic blade. He's gonna go up and over the Mandalus and allow himself to look back. He's trying to catch anybody off guard, but so is Mega, and the team at the high ground is not gonna be the ones we thought before. It's Nexi, it's Redux. Can they hold on to it? That's the question we're asking ourselves.
Well, Nazi took down Sparebow. Stacky goes up for height. It's a big fight on your left-hand screen, and this is gonna exchange hands once again, but Lawrence doesn't want it to happen for anyone. He's actually fighting back, so height is just in shambles. Meanwhile, Mega sneaking his way through, bottom right of your screen, walking his way towards his endgame as a solo, by the way. What an excellent job for him to continue to chip away at earning points here.
And a 3rd team found themselves fighting for that high ground. That was Seek, that was Lawrence, and they're one of the healthiest ones up there. This could be big and momentum shift for them and the rest of this game as Mega, Mars, everybody still trying to break through the builds. And Mega, you gotta give him so much credit here, surviving as a solo and only has the ODM instead of a kinetic blade. 1 tag is all it takes, and he goes down. That's VR Justice who are living.
Close, but not close enough. Now on height. Let's play a little game. It's Lawrence. It's hide and seek here for elims and set up to potentially walk away with the win, but they don't have the heals. Any team can still take this away now. Remember, these zones, they fly far. You don't have enough mats to really slide this one out there. You need hundreds to do it. Let's see it. Wavy Jacob's still up 2. He's going to find himself a refresh. An absolute game changer refresh there onto Fab. One of the duos, of course, the counterpart to Scented here.
Diego gets dropped down into a land of sharks in the water as they take him out. Into the top 4 we go. Scented with a miracle. He's faced adversity up until this point. He's just firing off left and right before he finally gets dropped down. That's Pate, one of the players still left alive, earning himself a position into the top 10. 7 eliminations as a team. He finds a huge shot onto another player, but with Zone pushing him in, he has no HP heals. He has to think of something to keep his game going against Wavy Jacob and Static.
This is Wavy Jacob there, though. He's waiting, trying to see if you open up that wall, but no, they take their time. Hide and seek, we talked about it. They won't be able to stay up here for long. They're out of material now. Lawrence, that's it. It's just 10 mats, no white heals. Hide and seek way up on high ground. And Lawrence takes on toe-to-toe Jacob and Static there, and he finds one, and Wavy Jacob just sits back. He allows him to slip inside of the bush. There's no way you find him now, and Hide and Seek has all the extra heals here to close it out, and just like that, he literally cruised their way into a dub.
Yeah, I like how Lawrence was just sitting there hiding in the bush. He knew exactly where Wavy Jacob was at, but he didn't go for the elimination. He didn't want to give over the extra siphon, and that seals the deal. CN Finals, Seeking Lawrence.
And, you know, over the last 2 years, Lawrence and Hide and Seek have really just continued to inch and work their way on up, making now another appearance here to the FNCS Finals. Look at this, though. It wasn't just given to them. They had to time. They had to execute. They had to literally fight back, and they did it when it mattered most. Wrangled away the high ground from Redux and Duo, and then, and only then, did they have everything they needed to win the game.
Yeah, that timing that you mentioned. Lawrence was being a distraction on that second height layer, and when Seek went up for the kinetic blade, he saw that as a green light to go. Everything came crumbling down, and from there, it was calm, cool, collected, cooler than the other side of the pillow because they made it work, and this is where he's hunting down Wavy Jacob. Doesn't even go for a peek because, hey, this game is ours.
7 elimination wins, going to send Hide and Seek into limits Lawrence off to the finals there. Game 4 concludes in a big and spectacular fashion. And you know what? We love to see these teams fight in the end and literally earn all the heals that they need.
Yeah, and I kind of called it out throughout the course of that game. A ton of our players, not only in the top 5, but in the top 10, went down early on into that last game, which leaves that leaderboard open for the taking. I'm going to go ahead and throw it on over to Zeke so he can let us know where we stand before our final game.
Thank you guys so much. To just think this is the last game here in Surge Week. We are going to have another duo get a Victory Royale, and then the top 5 advance to Grand Finals. Hide and Seek Lawrence, they got themselves that Victory Royale. Really quickly, by the way, give a big welcome to Jenny Smile. She's hanging out with us for the last little bit here. My gosh, guys, this game was, they get progressively more and more chaotic.
You know, I think teams are kind of figuring out, right? There's only a couple games left, these being one of the last two, only one more. And there was a huge fight for the higher ground during that 11th zone. Jenny, we know who came out on top of it, though.
Bro, that was crazy. We had 3 teams fighting for height there because we know how much of an advantage height can be. But Hide and Seek and Lawrence came out on top. No pun intended. They ended up winning the game. Look at them go. So proud.
Yeah, I mean, it was just all about making sure that they went up at the opportune moment. And the funny thing is they weren't even one of the initial teams fighting for it. They heard all the shooting going on up there, decided to ramp out towards the front side of the movie zone, looked back, got a couple of free shots in, ended up taking it.
And for me, looking at the points, remember a Victory Royale is basically 1,000 points, but just means you're going to go straight through. They ended that game with 134. If we take a look at the standings,
oh my God,
they would have been right here, right? So they're saying, hey, we don't even need to fight anymore. We don't need to be in top 5. Let's get a victory out. Let's just go straight to Grand Finals. Let's take a look now. Remember, coming out of those last 2 games, everything was kind of still the same. Look at the shakeup we're seeing right here. Mega and Snake, they actually managed to take over Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing very, very consistent. And look at the tiebreaker between first and second.
It's a perfect tie.
Same elimination, same placement points. Absolutely incredible stuff. And we've seen a couple of these moments, actually. These solo clutches from a couple of duos. Mega's now saying, hey, listen, we need some more points. We need to catch up to Clarity and Casker. And this solo performance did just that.
Honestly, I love seeing them play like the low ground, mid ground section, because we have seen a lot of those teams try to take the height, but that doesn't mean those low ground teams cannot be successful. And we've seen it here. They played it very well. They were so methodical, waiting for the right time to shoot, making sure they have loot, not even worrying about trying to switch the guns at the end. They were like, I got to make sure that I'm fully loaded. I have to get the loadouts and I have to get the materials, and I'm ready.
Love watching solo plays try to happen, right? Because, you know, we're so used to watching duos and all this formulaic stuff happen, and then you kind of watch Mega right there. He just kind of play like a little hiding spot, trying to make sure that he gets an elimination one more. Almost gets it with that 150. Unfortunately, doesn't find the full elimination, but still got enough points to put themselves first place.
So wild. Again, take a look at these standings, man. So volatile to see 4th and 5th. They basically both jumped up in that top 5 spot together, right? With only a single game. What does the top 20 look like, right? Let's take a look together. Remember, Victory Royale, auto-qualified, are coming into that top 5. Scented and Favs, they're in 14th place. Guys, we've been watching them all day. Now, they did make a big leap, right? 12 places, Jenny, that's huge.
Yeah.
But they need to do that again. And even that may not be enough.
Yeah, no, truly. I know that we are such fans and we believe in them. They have shown such consistency, and we've seen them like play so well, making sure they're matted up, making sure that they are just getting in the positions on endgame and playing aggressive when they need to. But, you know, is it going to be enough, Vivid?
Are they teeing us up again for one of these last game qualifications, right? They did it in week 3. Are they going to do it here again in Surge Week? Making themselves just close enough to potentially break into that top 5. Of course, Victory Royales are still a possibility for this duo as well. Maybe they're finding their stride now that they are landing over at the racetrack. Straight up abandoned pretty much a free vault. So that just, you know, speaks to how comfortable Scented is at that drop spot that he's been landing at all season.
That would be so wild. The double miracle back-to-back run. Scented, Bev, we're here for it. It's now on you guys. Make something happen. Let's take a look, though, because there's actually something you wanted to point out to us, Vivid.
You know,
what is that?
You know, last game and this game, the 7th zone kind of behavior, it showed the same thing. Shout out to these players and their adversity when it comes to some of these zones, because some of them are so hard to traverse. Look at this. That zone popped and not a single team was in it. And these types of rotations are so difficult because it kind of is broken down into 3 different types of rotations. That first wave of players that kind of makes it into the zone, going to be the ones with the purple connect bays, the second, the blue ones, and then the third, it's going to be the teams with no mobility.
Absolutely wild. Just to think, like, yeah, this is like a good a way to contextualize how difficult this all is.
They went through that.
they went through that. We have 1 game left to go here in Surge Week. It's now or never, okay? These duos, they have to find that victory. Think about it. A duo in 50th place could come out right now, get a victory out, and secure that grand final spot. That's insane.
That is what I love about Surge Week.
I'm down.
It's because anything can happen, and you're looking at these teams, and as the games go on, you have the teams that are playing so well, they're not in the games anymore. So that's an opportunity, another step, and another opportunity for these teams to come in and just take that first place spot. And again, you have all those uncontested areas to take, vaults. I mean, it's so exciting, and I cannot wait for the last game.
Scented, Fevs, just do it again. Miracle run it
Double
again.
miracle. Double miracle. Let's run it. 1 game left to go. How does it all end? Let's find out right here, right now.
Well, this is it. Game 5 has arrived. And again, let us stress the fact that everything matters here and now. You need to win or be the most consistent. We've already seen what can go down. Teams with almost no points can literally punch their way to finals. But at the end of the day, you really want to take the dub.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I talked about it. This is the 5th and final game. The last chance to keep your season hopes alive. There's a lot of pressure on some teams that may have not felt pressure like this before, but the battle bus is ready. Monster, let's get to it.
Let's get on this battle bus. Let's go ahead and see who we will be sending to the FNCS Grand Finals. The last chance right now to go ahead and pick up this dub here. If you are just tuning in, 5 games, 5 wins. That's what matters right now. But look at this contested drop for Punisher, for Costa, who will beat the drop first here. Costa gets the touchdown, get a gun here, slides inside and doesn't quite grab the chopper. I think Punisher had that too, so they do have the weapons, but they didn't get the tags.
Oh, Zyber actually, he did go down to Punisher. He was probably the one that kind of boxed him up. Sears there. He does have at least a Maven to try to fight back, but does he have any bit of material to kind of work with? His Costa trying to box him into the box. He gets dropped. A trade's going to go through. Costa still has health kind of ringing in. That's the shield keg towards the bottom. The HP is kind of ticking up. You see the weapons being passed towards the low ground. Punisher is giving him everything that he has to work with.
This is scary because you're giving Yasir a true chance to fight back. And look at how Yasir repositions, goes for the right camera peek. This is an excellent showcasing of how to play a 1v2 situation, especially when you have something working in your favor. Now, yes, Costa is max health, but he does not have a power weapon like Yasir does in the shotgun. The SMG is good, but the shotgun is trusty. And just like that, peeks in and out. It's so good. We get to run it back from Yasir's angle. He literally landed, found Brick, had nothing, boxed him up. That little play right there gives him time to get the shotgun and turn around. Look what he managed to do with it.
Well, that is something you do not see every day. And I know these guys have a huge fan base. Their chats right now probably just cheering them on. This could be it because they were a team that even I was looking at with the only victory royale in the lobby from the first 3 weeks of play. I thought they had the blueprint out, and this could be it.
Man, and Punisher and Costa, just so you guys understand, they were in 13th consistent. This could have been it. We needed a big game right here. But we fast forward. We move on.
5 on Kinzo. They had a big moment in the last couple of games to try to shoot themselves as far up the leaderboard as possible. 126 points. This is going to be it. Kinzo gets dropped, though. The Caesar, 1v1 scenario. Defiable with a couple of shots. He's going to have the health lead in this fight. And with the combat and the high ground, Defiable lives to tell the tale and keeps their hopes alive.
We'll sleep on that combat, but if you can get the cursor where it needs to be, it does so much damage. D-Roller has to be careful here. These are opponent builds. You can see him switching back and forth. There's a down body here. The finish comes through. Another combat coming into play there. Jackson comes in and cleans things up. D-Roller and Jackson now find themselves their last chance to take a win here. Every single team you see fall now means that they do not have any more opportunities to play for the finals position, for the final slot. Only one duo can win this game, and only one duo will absolutely guarantee a position if they can win.
I haven't seen Sid and Diminished in the distance. They were landing over towards the Citadel almost every game on the day. And with their chance at the top 5 gone and out the window, they switch up their drop spot, hoping it changes things enough for them to come out victorious and keep their season hopes alive. But going up against a stacked Slappy Torch, especially Jutrouse and Broken, who have been the heavy hitters over on this side of the map, is gonna be one hard team to kind of take down as they continue to fight through. They have plenty of materials if this does come down to a build fight. But they're just trying to disengage. They don't want to have a fight go down. They don't want to give any hope, any chances in the last game of the day.
Surge Week is always the start of the best weeks of Fortnite competition. And right now, it really doesn't get any better when you know absolutely every battle is significant. It's pivotal. It matters. Here, though, we jump on Mega and Snake right now, going back to the true and trusty high ground play. They invest all this brick, which, again, oddly enough, they go with brick. Like, brick is the hardest material to yield out and gain in the current play, but they do have this entire castle to work with, so it should be okay. And you can see all the reservoirs all around them. So for them, not so much an issue. For others, probably.
They got caught slipping. Omizi and Swexy. They take down Broken. Jutraz definitely has his work cut out for him. He's trying to create some heroics here in this game as Diminished and Sid from one side of the map to another. They know Deschamps is somewhere around here by himself, and ODM quickly with another tag, but Diminished with pressure from so many other sides. Even that third party coming in makes it harder for him to try to finish it off. But when you have a teammate like Sid on the low ground with another angle, they pick up their second elimination of the game.
They're doing much better here than going against Felix and Sparebow, so
true.
good to see them going and mix things up. That contested drop against Felix and Sperber was just not working, but it's much more action here as they have the freedom, the rain, the loot as well to just go ahead and do something, get situated here. Look at this. He doubles back to the loadout here. That's the power of the flare gun to go just air it out, really see where and who is in the vicinity. Now look.
Unfortunate, Broken and Jutras go down 136 points in 7th place, which opens up for some of those teams that are below them if they have a pop-out performance to go up against one less team in their journey into that top 5. You can see Wavy Jacob in the distance, Caskers and Clarity tied here for 1st place, 2nd place overall, depending on how that long list of tiebreakers do break down. But for them, they're just happy to be at the top of the leaderboard because it's not about getting 1st place here. It's all about just simply qualifying and continuing your story.
Well, they do still have to finish this game out. They still have to make an end game to absolutely solidify their way through, because last game they dropped a round, which kind of tells us, hey, they are 3 for 4. You can't go 3 for 5 and feel safe to be in the top 5. You really, really do have to be around that 4 for 5 mark if you want to be inside the top 5. So let's see what they can do as this last game is here. Bolts in Thoric. Monstrous game from Bolts to pick up that 72-point swing of the 182 you see down there. Literally earned in a single run on his own.
Landing over here towards Frenzy Field. If they do find a way as they squick themselves to the grand finals, they're going to be going against a team like Pamstu and Fatch, who also land over towards Frenzy Field. So as we wind down in the day, the dust begins to settle. For some of the teams that have already qualified, that's going to be the next step in your process of just planning everything out. Who lands where? Where's worth switching up? Static and Wavy Jacob, 164 points. That is the threshold. So as long as Wavy Jacob and Static are alive in this lobby, we could look at them as the team just on the bubble.
I was just going to ask, what do we think about Aminish and Sid literally fighting when they have the surge they need? Get out of here. Win a game. Like, forget sticking around a battle. Get mats, go win.
That's the thing about Surge Week. Sometimes it just puts the pressure on and it has your mental game just in a rut. Diego, Smalls, no elimination so far, 106 points. Definitely need a pop-off performance here. They're looking to take it overall. Let's and Frost on the other side, trying to put some shots down over towards Steamy Springs. This is, in theory, where you're going to get a lot of that surge from, especially for the next about minute and a half as teams slow to rotate on over from the east side of the map. And I like this decision for everybody really here. Both teams to kind of disengage, get yourself deeper and deeper into the zone, give yourself less and less to worry about. There's Paper and Shadow over towards Shattered Slabs. You put the shield cake down just so they can trade for shots when it comes to Surge. They spotted that team on the high ground, and they're daring them to challenge.
That's right. Paper and Shadow here setting themselves up for success right now. One big win. This is a team we want to pay very, very close attention to. Even if they don't win the game right now, all they have to do is perform well. Outperform those other teams, and you will be inside that top 5 and solidify your way to the final. So a lot of win conditions on the table right now for any of these bubble squads. Smallsy and Diego here included. Let's watch it though. Okay, little toe-to-toe action. Smallsy's trying to step up here, giving himself a little room to work with. And there it is. The wall comes down. He tries to take it, and actually Frost surprises him with a quick edit and a shotgun exchange.
Nice what he's doing.
Oh, there it is.
Building, getting the piece control. Underneath his, Frost is going to go down. Diego's on the other side, just trying to alleviate the pressure, and he finishes that one off. Smalls and Diego get all this loot, the weapons cache as well, and replenishing their materials that they just used. But from one weapons cache to another, Defiable just peeking through, just trying to get that information, spotting out Kinzo, just ready to peek at a moment's notice to try to alleviate pressure if Kinzo ends up in a bad spot.
There it is. The loot comes out. Let's see what's going to happen here. But Defiable and Kinzo, they're on a journey. And we want to know all about that journey. Kelly, give us the update.
I mean, Monster, you were just talking about it before. We are looking at those bubble teams, and Defiable and Kenzo are just outside of the bubble, so they're doing whatever they can to give them the best success for that end game and getting more placement points. And look at what they're doing right now. They already grabbed 2 eliminations, making sure that they have those Storm Surge tags. They're looting up in Storm, and they're able to grab some much-needed vision here. And with a weapons cache, they're looking to be in a good spot.
Thank you so much, Kelly. In a good spot indeed. About 30 points shy of that bubble in which you were speaking of. Interesting how they're going to play this one out. Do you get confident? Do you get more aggressive to make up that difference? Or do you play your game out, hoping that somebody goes down early and opens up the door for you to kind of take that position?
Same can be applied for Sensen and Favs. Do they turn up, right? Do they have that in them? I don't know. Sensen's a very methodical player, one known to actually play for end games. He hasn't quite been able to piece all that together today. Also not necessarily known for high elimination games and converting W's. Like, this is what we like to call the second place king for quite some time, right? Very tough spot to be in because he needs a win now. Day in short, much different story for them. As you can see, things are starting to go in their favor in the later half of the tournament.
Still, it's at least within reach for them. They may need to pick up a few more eliminations than some other teams on this leaderboard, but it's definitely doable, especially when you have one of the best fighters in Day, teamed with Shore. They continue to rotate towards the center of the zone. We did get a southwestern pull. And even if it does pull one more time, you always have to beware for that zone pull back in either direction as Rift Island appears once again. And it's Zypha and On1 could be one of the first teams to try to claim it as their own. And if you look at the minimap, there's very, very few teams in the distance that look ready to contest them.
Yeah, like, what a surprise, right? Rift Island spawns right in between somewhat of a safety net in the middle of the zone. There's really one other team thinking about it. They're starting to slide over like, hey, they really want to do this. They find themselves on a dirt road down below, and they're now second-guessing themselves. Remember, this is a huge risk you take on once you start to commit here. It's a true commitment. Defiable.
Hey,
They're
he
thinking
could
about
be,
it. They're
he could be
coming on
one.
over.
He did it in a few games in the past, so it's definitely at least in the back of his mind. But a team that's just so far away from that Rift Island caster and Clarity, but they're so far above the leaderboard. Honestly, they just need to kind of squeak in, get some placement points.
This is crazy. I remember way back in the day, Casker was literally a part of these times. So let's journey back into Chapter 1, Season 1 days. Remember back in the day, you wouldn't even break a tree to reveal yourself? That's why. If someone sees the tree break, you give up your spot, and Casker, you immediately, especially now this whole new Unreal artifacts and then all the effects that come through, there's a player there. They find tags for it. But hold up. Big action here. Dude, Mars and Pars here, they have really been turning online.
Yep, better late than never. But for them, they left themselves in that position to where it's VR or nothing. 80 points. It's almost impossible to double up your scoreline and surpass those players into the top 5. But at least with that win condition out the window, they can focus on just getting that VR.
Well, Bolt and Thoric, FNCS champions here, showing off the pickaxes in the lobby. So close. They are so close to either making it all come true and having a chance at the FNCS title one more time, this time on the Central, on the merge of the best regions, or being sent back home. What a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, they're progressively getting better each and every week throughout the first 3, only making it to finals in week 3 with a 27th place finish. Interesting enough, they missed that game 1 as well, which cost them a lot of points. If they would have just got a little bit higher up on the leaderboard, they wouldn't be here in a lobby like this, but that's the game we play in Fortnite. All it takes is one misstep, one mistake, and the same could be said true for players here in this lobby, but with a huge cushion for Mega and Snake, they at least have some room to work with.
Mega sitting up top. Full lines of sights on the entire outer skirts of the lobby. Oh, he finds someone out in the open. That was probably a sweet surprise. He was baiting the chest there. Notice how he's been aiming directly back there, so he knew that team was going to go for it. Little did they expect Mega to be eyeing down outside the lobby. But look, it's cost Mega a lot. Mega's, when we tuned in last, had 6 minis. He's down to 1. He does have a couple shields there, but it's kind of a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, and especially almost looks like he's stuck as a solo. There's a lot of pressure on him to try to at least make it past a certain point in the game, because you got to imagine the cushion from performing so well, consistent throughout the first 4. They've at least given themselves that reward. Peyton Cardi, 176 points. They are in the top 5 as it stands right now. With 3 eliminations, they built themselves even more of a cushion from the teams below them. They just need to hold on to their position. No mistakes, no bad moves, and they can't fall behind here. So many teams are just outside the zone, focusing on their rotation as well.
They're on the heels of Thoric and Bolts, you saw in the distance right there, but a student with Acro. Acro has had so many moments today of just greatness, truly shining through. Now finds himself just above the surge here, targeting opponents all on the outskirts. No one reveals themselves. The shots here puts the brakes on everyone on the outskirts. There's only one duo, though, there that does have to make the slide in.
Gotta imagine how they'd be feeling. In that last game, game number 4, they were going against Paper. Shadow got sent back rather early, and this is where you see the vault loop. And that chance to kind of claim it is here with Paper and Shadow just getting stuck in his bad position. The Desmond's there on the other side, though. The Rail's just trying to break through, make it easy for Paper to get from one point to another and take down yet another player here right before our very eyes. That gets him 8 points more and that much closer to the top 5 they're looking for.
You just see Paper laying down the communication. That guy was in shambles. Calls it out. He says, we got this. They close this pretty quickly, just like that. They're way above the surge now. Nothing to worry about. Bounce back, get max material, and then cruise on out of here. Now, again, the clock is ticking, and it's a race to move here shortly. Just 25 seconds remaining there. And this is Game 5. Game 5 of North America of the Surge Week. One team will be able to take a win here and go directly to finals. 5 teams will be able to be the most consistent and also take a spot to finals.
And in the interesting end portion, if any of those teams into the top 5 get that VR, it just opens up the spot to that next person below to really shake things up. Cardi and Pace. They could be that team that gets the VR and opens it up for somebody else right below them. A few seasons ago, Chapter 3, Season 3, I do believe it was Pam Stewart and Batch. They were the ones who qualified to the finals, got themselves a top 5 finish because another team above them are the ones who qualified.
That's right, and don't forget, every week you can tune in to watch the FNCS in-game in Legends Landing. It's available, it's there, big screen, sit back, kick it with your friends, party up, meet new people in Legends Landing as well. It's a very immersive place to be.
Box fights, aim duels,
everything.
Plenty to do, and watching the games in Legends Landing. I usually find myself there watching some of the games.
So cool.
308 above, Askers and Clarity. They've cemented themselves as one of the teams to beat here in this lobby. I don't think they're going to go down anytime soon. 296 above the damage threshold. The only thing they got to worry about now is that far pull they've just been given here by the lobby. But as they survey every player around, this is going to see them try to rotate first. They don't want to get stuck behind and gate kept by anybody else in the lobby.
They play smart, too. They got that low lip on the mountain there to just cruise along the beach side and just kinetic blade their way in. It's perfect. Mega, though. Mega's literally underneath the surge right now, under huge scrutiny and tags, and not a single duo in sight. He is off to play this one by himself. Look at how great he's managed to perform here by himself. No snake.
But now he's just really being tested. Backs up against the wall. A lot of his heals going out the window. 154 below the damage threshold. That red eye is not going to do 154 damage the way he needs it. ODM or nothing.
No.
He's going against some heavy hitters here in this lobby, and they take down Mega. First place is now down, and that opens up the door for somebody to at least take the top spot for bragging rights.
And what more can you ask for? He really had a difficult game to try to put up points. On his own. He does get, again, frozen in time, 196. Will it hold out? There's about a 30-point difference within, or amongst the other top 5, so they're all alive right now. They all have a real chance to keep earning. That's his biggest problem. If you're Mega, you're hoping second or third fall, solidify yourself a position there. We'll see.
Oh, huge opportunity for Defiable and Kinzo. Catch somebody slipping, the edit's open, and they slide right in to take all that loot and more points for their total. And see Nosh, Tavern, everybody that's almost not in that top 10 to kind of start the game is going to have a tough job if they're laying it on the line in terms of top 5. So for some of these teams, it is win to keep your story going here on the weekend. 66 above the damage threshold, Shore and Day. They're finding just a little bit of comfort knowing that they can heal and try to stabilize themselves, but in the back of their mind, they know Storm Surge is still going to be annoying. It's like a fly at a picnic.
Well, here it is. We're just moments away from things turning up. Paper and Shadow get dived in on by DeRoller, who's there and looking for the action here. This is what happens when the Surge is online and ready, but Jackson DeRoller taken out to the hands of Shadow. He's managed to successfully defend himself here. And look, if you're on the side of the zone, which most of the lobby is, you're pretty happy. The last games, it was bouncing way far. Some teams try to overcommit. It didn't work out this time. It was not a far bounce. Instead, it was favorable to the majority. And if you're Paper and Shadow, you're pretty much chilling. He's got everything they need. ODM fully fresh and stocked up. But here's Pate. Here's Cardi. Cardi's down. Pate's by himself. And they're out. 5th place down. Out. Contenders. Literal contenders. Out of the game. And a spot could be opening up now as Pate and Cardi fall.
This is getting interesting, and for them, they're at the edge of their seats watching the rest of this one. Does their points hold? Did they grab enough? Sentin and Fab, they realize this is not enough points for us. We're gonna need that miracle run. Can Lightning strike twice for Fabs and Sentin as they put that pressure on a team above? That's Onward, that's Cypher. They're trying to drop them into their hands. Putting some shots, 220 buns damage threshold when it comes to Storm Surge. That's a sense of comfortability for them, but they realize proactivity is the key here. Not letting anything slip through. As Sentin, brave as can be, bulldozes his way through Zypha.
And he opens the box up for Fast as well as he picks up all the loot there. He knows that he had the siphon. He could take that little bit of extra damage, but the win condition, they try to get the flopper there. Was it worth it? We'll find out here as they took so much damage there. And there it is, the legendary Slurp Juice used. The flopper eaten, and they lost a lot. Look at the standing. 2 spots are available right now. Potentially, you have to outperform them. For Thoric and Bolts, they're still up. They're inching their way through to the end here. And also, keep in mind, you literally need a win if you're like currently here in this position. There's no other way you're getting the finals.
And most importantly, though, that 170-point threshold that we saw in that top 5, Wavy, Jacob, and Static, trying to hold on to that one 10 toes down. But one of the next teams in line is Paper and Shadow. 20 points is all they need to gather here. As Caskers and Clarity, 204. They got their first place spot almost cemented as long as they can outlast both Bolts and Thoric as they continue to look everywhere to try to find where their next elimination is from. There goes Bolts and Thoric, next in line to take that top spot, and they're only 68 above the damage threshold. So they're looking all around to see if anybody can get caught off guard so they can land the perfect shot so that way they don't have to worry about Surge the rest of the game.
That's right, danger is looming, defiable. Kinzo looking at high ground. It's only Pars up there, Pars. Little low on material here, gets sized up and timed out. And just like that, he takes too much damage. I think he has to give it up here. He's trying to situate himself to play for height once again. Lands on an opponent, doesn't realize what's going on. And it's Kinzo, who's now cranking his way on up. He doesn't have much mats though. He's also below the Surge here.
Storm is taking in.
Oh my
This is not the best position to be in, but they have healed. They can outlast all this, but if they get chopped down and take fall damage, that will be it. We saw Paper fly through the sky. Sentin wants to survive it. Sentin is back. This is their chance. If they want to win the game, this is the perfect moment to go for it.
They do. They come up to top. Now remember, Sentin does not have any more kinetic blades. If they get chopped here, it's all over. There's no way for him to save himself. Finally, a charge comes in. Sentin and Fabs manages to find themselves on high ground. Shadow and Paper want to play for it too. They're trying to chop it down. Look at how they're breaking structures around them, looking for any opportunity. Clarity has done enough to make an end game. They should be coasting their way through just based off of consistency. They're just the disruptors now of the lobby.
And everybody's hopes, everybody's dreams, if we get into the top 6, Zypha's gone, Onward's by himself, but you can see it's Static Loss who got eliminated by him early on in this game. Where does Wavy Jacob stand? Are they still in the top 5? Who knows? But Bolts and Thoric, they said forget the top 5. We want that top spot here on the leaderboard. They want the confidence going into finals next week.
And it's crazy to think, although they have enough points, they want to fight for the dub. If you're Sentin, if you're fast on high ground, you are not safe. First place out. Shadow and Paper still have a chance here. They need to turn up a little bit more. They will need just again, a hero's effort. But look, other teams that need a win are thinking about it. They're going up.
This is it. Shadow, he has to stay alive. 172 with Wavy Jacob out. They might have gotten themselves into the top 5, but that's Thor going down. Shadow's run comes to an end. Did he do enough? Only time will tell. As Borg with already a 70+ point solo impact day, he's trying to have that repeat performance and get that first place spot away from Clarity and Clasker.
And Bolt's just insane. He literally takes down Spearbow. Spearbow still has Felix in this game. I thought for a moment there it could be Felix and Spearbow who fight off against the veterans on high ground. But Fabs and Scented looks like they have now officially run out of material. As you can see, they're just inching their way out. Felix doesn't have much either, but he does have a win condition available. If there's heals on this body here, Bolt, he should be okay. But Diego has even more to work with here. The tags come through, and that's going to start exchanging hands here. Fabs can do it here. They jump down. Scented is in the zone, and this might just be enough, Jacob.
This is big. They were the only team left in the lobby. They have all the heals. Talk about lightning striking twice. Fabs with all the pressure on. This is exactly how him and Snacky won it last year. If they can do this again, this will be huge. But Diego plays only 15 on the med miss. A huge shot by Fabs. Can lightning strike twice? And Diego going for it. He shuts it all down, ending the run of Stented and Fabs to take the final game of the day and book his ticket directly to the FNCS Grand Final.
The best part about it, Daniel could have won if he just sat there and healed. He said, nope, I'm not going to give it up to that. I'm going to fight my way through this. I'm going to bulldoze my way through this brick wall that was Fabs incented. Look at the peak right there. A 2v1 by Diego, and even more so because he has to fight for it. And look, right here is that moment we were talking about. He slips on over in the side jump. What a better way to close out.
I'm just wondering how many eliminations did they pick up overall as a team? They did get second place. They could, in theory, have bumped themselves up on the leaderboard because we know Bolts, we know Clarity. The way they performed on the day, they got their spots locked.
That's right, and other teams felt like Mega and Snake, but we won't be doing the math from here. Monster Jacob, we're just gonna send it on over to the crew. We need the numbers.
Thank you so much, Monster D-Face, Jacob PR, a fantastic set of games. My gosh, coming down to the wire. Unfortunately, lightning does not strike twice for Scented and Fabs, but for Diego, they're going to grand finals.
Yo, what a shot from Diego to win the last game of Surge Week of Major 2 and guarantee that spot in grand finals. The big question, though, will be, did Scented and Fabs get enough points? I don't know.
Dude, I was just like shaking. We were all standing here watching that in that moment. That's what I was saying down there. It's like unreal. Anything can happen. And we were also just talking about if he would have just played it a little bit more patient and maybe waited for the healing. Oh, I mean, it could have gone anyway, but he was like, no, I got this. Did you though? Not exactly. So I'm so excited to see if it's enough to make them get to grands. I don't know though.
So big from Diego, though. Mechanically, played it very, very intelligent. He knows he gets that knock on the Scented who is in the zone, uses that in combination with the legendary Slurp Juice, the med miss that he has, and then the mechanics shown in full force in that 1v1 against Fabs. Incredible stuff.
Dude, we've had some insane games. And just to think, like, we don't even know what the standings look like yet. Who is going through? Remember, duos have to make it into that top 5 if they want to continue that FNCS run. Top 5 will send you to grand finals, and a victory out will do the same. I'm nervous.
I'm like, drum roll. I'm like, what's it gonna be?
Well, let's find out together. We have the standings ready. Let's see who is going through. Unfortunately, Scented and Fabs, they did go up 5 placements, but it was not enough. As we look up Bolts and Thoric with just some of the craziest plays we've seen, they do come out in that top spot. Caster, Clarity G as well, Mega, Snake, Shadow, Paper, and look at this. Oni, Zypha, they sneak on in that top 5.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. I mean, shout out to Bolts. I'm excited to see him in finals specifically, right? So many just solo clutch performances, as well as Paper and Shadow coming out of Shatter slabs all day. I mean, shout out to Mason and Scope, right? Qualifying through. Game number 1 gave Paper and Shadow that uncontested vault throughout the day, and they did so well with it.
Yeah, no, we talked about that earlier. Having that uncontested area, we were like, okay, maybe that's not going to be good for Storm Surge, but they made it work for them. They got the Volt, they had a game plan, and they played it out to the very end and got the placement points they needed to continue. I'm very proud of them. They played it out so well. And then again, you're talking about Bolts. insane. Both have played so well, and I just love those clips.
It was good. It was good. Let's once again take a look at this top 5. I think for me, going into grand finals, I've got to be the most excited for Thoric and Bolts. They just have this like pop-off potential where it seems like they're in a dire situation and they're like, no, this is exactly where I want to be, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, they played great throughout the entire day. I was checking out some of their mid games. They were always very, very healthy on materials. So I really do think that they have that grand finals, like, sort of play style to do well there. I'm not sure even, like, why they ended up in Surge Week. After watching their performance today, you would think that they would have already been qualified through.
Yeah, they really did, like, prove themselves, like, showing up in first, though. I mean, maybe not getting a victory, but, like, being like, you know what, we're going to play so crazy. And hopefully, you know, we're going to see those crazy plays in grands. I will say we have a lot more like skillful, I want to say skillful players, but like, you know, skilled players that have already made it through that they're going to have to compete against. So will they be able to have that same skill against them?
I like that, right? Because this is something you talked about. 40 of the best duos are already in grand finals. We're looking to fill out those last 10. So the other 40 are saying, you had to fight through Surge Week. We already made it.
Right.
You're stepping to us now. So insane. But I'm not disappointed. The games today were crazy good.
Yeah, they were absolutely crazy. Came down to the wire. I mean, I'm looking at Mega as well. Unfortunately, Snake did not even make it into that game. So Mega pretty much had to play that entire game out as a solo. Got just enough points. I mean, the threshold there being 188 points. He got them up to 196. It was so close on so many fronts.
Bro, I love that he had to play as a solo and also had the confidence to do that. You know, going into it, just being like very methodical, very like picking on the way that he's going to play it out. As a solo, you have to be so like aware of your surroundings, almost double if you're alone. So he played so well.
Absolutely. Now remember, this is just the consistency factor. Don't forget, we had duos go through on Victory Royales. So why don't we send it on from Monster Defense and Jacob PR to remind us.
This is a huge moment for us to celebrate our 5 Victory Royale winners. And it starts with game number 1, Scoped and Mason. You call Mason the Surge Whisperer. This is the second time he's qualified through a Surge Week format.
And to do it back-to-back, literally, from last season to this one, just carrying on the competition here. Just look at the highlight moments here. Big plays for him. He managed to sit back, catch the heel, but it wasn't just him. And then the veterans, FNCS ex-champ, we got Jock and Quad, man. They come on through in an exceptional performance. They gave us exactly what we wanted. Fighting, right? Really battling their way through for the dub.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it wouldn't even be an FNCS without watching them in the finals, performing to a high standard. But in game number 1, they had a chance. Sprite and Giants. If at first you don't succeed, you try again. Game number 3, they took that same formula, that recipe for success that they found in game number 1. They mimicked it, but in this time, they sealed the deal.
That's right, and it was a big play for them. Look at how many elims finishing out with just about 7. Game 4, though, hide and seek limit. Lawrence, you saw the high ground plays. This is where things got really desperate for our players. All of a sudden, we saw just the impossible happening. Everyone trying to swing their way on up to height and using anything in their power to make sure they solidify the dub.
Yeah, definitely going to cause some havoc there in the finals, but Diego plays and Smallsy. Diego staggered himself outside the zone, took down Scented, challenged the high ground to take down Fabs as well. That was an earned FNCS finals appearance if I've ever seen one.
And you know what? The side jump just really showing, just showcasing how great of a player Diego plays is. What an excellent way to just close it out. And again, these are 5 rounds. Notice the top 5 through consistency. A 3-way tie at 188 points. That's how close it was for that 4th and 5th spot. Both teams having literally tied points. They needed eliminations to push through. That was the difference maker.
Yeah, eliminations was a huge difference maker. In the game overall, the switch up of format really challenged a lot of players to go for that high risk, high reward scenario. And for some, it paid off tenfold. You saw them shooting up 5, 15 spots on the leaderboard game after game. And it goes to show for all of our competitors that qualified to the FNCS finals, I got 1 week to prepare, and I hope they use it wisely.
This is really what Surge Week is all about, right? We get to come through, celebrate this format. This is the most explosive type of Fortnite you're ever going to get, where every single win has so much significance behind it. But at the end of the day, it's over. And now, Zeke, we got to start gearing up for finals.
And what a time, right? Just to think, the crazy play we saw today. We're just going to crank that up to 11 next week in grand finals. I mean, what more could you possibly ask for? Well, guess what? We're going to deliver. because we have Paper standing by. One of the players we just watched their crazy gameplay and qualify. Paper, how's it feel?
I feel good, but at the same time, like, I'm kind of disappointed because I feel like it was a little bit too close. And, you know, we ended 9th overall, and the last game I kind of sold, so I wanted it to be like us to be first instead of 9th because, you know, I want the like really good confidence boost for grands.
Yeah, okay, so let's like dive in on that. What do you guys think you need to refine going into grand finals?
I think our mentalities and our communication, because me and him, like, you know, we're kind of a like brand new team. Our chemistry isn't the greatest, and a lot of our comms like mix and match. Like, I don't listen to him, he doesn't listen to me. But then when we get end game, you know, it's pretty good. Like, and we like start catching the flow. But I think that's our biggest problem.
And of course, when it comes to grand finals, I know there's a couple teams already landing over at Shattered Slabs. Are you guys going to go ahead and contest them, or are you guys going to maybe switch it up? Like, what's the game plan? Do you have one yet?
We're landing at a split drop by Breakwater, but I don't really too many strategies, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I might land on everybody, you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't matter.
Okay, so I know that y'all played not exactly how you wanted to. However, coming into this, you know, grand, you're going to be in a lobby with the best of the best players. Is there going to be a certain mentality that you're going to go in holding on to? Are you going to switch up strategies? Not having to give anything away, but like, you know, are you going to change anything up?
I think, you know, in this qualifiers, I feel like there's more nerves and it's harder in these qualifiers than in grand finals. Cause like when you walk into grand finals, you get in that mode. Like I get in that Mamba mentality, you know what I'm saying? And I get into it. And like, I feel like end game, I was saying like a lot more to be passive, but in the grands, you can't really be like that. So I'd probably be a lot more aggressive in the grand finals.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah. Who do you guys think is maybe your biggest competition going to grand finals?
Man, I don't want to like hype other teams up, but I'd say the biggest competition is probably Acorn and Cold, because they just won the week 3 and then they won last FNCS. So yeah,
I respect it. Well, hey, once again, congrats. You're in grants. Now we just got to study up and bring it next week. Now, for all the fans out there who are going, Paper, I'm going to follow you to the end of time. Where can they find you?
Well, you could pretty much only find me on Twitter or kick.com/paper. Find me on there.
Absolutely. Well, hey, once again, huge congrats. We can't wait to see how you guys show up next week, and we'll catch you then.
Thank you.
There you have it. Don't forget, next week, grand finals, 2 days of Fortnite, 6 games each day, all to crown champions. But not only that, top 3 will secure spots in globals. Whew. There's so much to play for going into next week, Vivid. And if this is just like a taste, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Time flies, Zeke. Like, you know, I remember we were standing up here, we were looking at the schedule, we were like, this is week 1, grand finals are in a couple, grand finals are next weekend already. So many big name teams. I mean, Paper mentioned them, Acorn and Cold, they're looking hot. We got Booga and Threads, Kanata and Aders. What's gonna happen? I don't know. I can't wait.
And you know, can I just give hats off to Paper, man? What a well-executed interview. Like, the community loves him already, but you can really see why he's such a charismatic person. Playing with Shadow, by the way, like, again, we talked about that communication. Like, that's something that if they can lock that in, such raw talent, right? Raw talent, like they never played before, to come together and qualify. I mean, you saw the lobby. That was a crazy lobby to fight against.
I'm just excited. I gave 1 guarantee my entire life. We was a Vivid guarantee. There was 11 guarantee, a mini mining guarantee. I gave 1. I thought it was gonna happen last week. I said Bolts and Thor are gonna be in the FNCS finals. It may have taken an extra week, but they're in.
Nice. Dude, yeah, the Bolts, those plays, seeing Bolts clutch as a solo was actually mind-blowing. There were so many moments where we're like, wait, what? This is happening. What the heck? I love that.
And again, just a reminder, don't forget that those 40 best duos, they're waiting. They are there. We're now seeing just this, a sample, going into next week. How much farther they have to fight, how much harder. What have those other duos prepared that we haven't seen yet? Guys, there's so much, and I want to talk about it all, but that's it. At least for now. Next week, we come back 2 days. Europe will be playing, we'll be playing. It'll be absolutely phenomenal. As always, we love y'all so much. Keep yourselves safe, and we'll see you on that battle bus.
Beep, beep. Oh.